Hi, everybody. Oh, I gotta fix my friends. Hello, friends. Make them bugger friends. There we go. We like bugger friends. All right, let's see if we are chatting yet.
Going to get ready there. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Red.
Hello.
Oh wow.
Hello.
I'm
Hello,
going
everyone.
to
Welcome.
also
I'm going to invite you all to the
merge
game.
chat.
Oh yeah, we got a knock.
Yeah, there's. Yeah. I actually did get you all.
Left.
Bump.
Knock.
I
Knock,
think Wayne
knock.
and mine's hacked in. Got it.
I think we're good now. I think we're in the chat now. I just muted everything else.
There we go. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. And I think it just needs cheese chat in here.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
I got
Les,
it.
do you like my stream title, Les? I think it was very good.
What did you have as stream title?
I've moved to funnier stream titles.
Oh boy.
I've gone to
get you invited in, then I'll take a look here. See what
I've gone from like trying to be like hype, like super skilled, whatever shit, and it's like, no, that's stupid. I'm just gonna do puns.
Puns.
That is fair. That is. Oh yeah, I'm sure my chat would love the puns.
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 Well,
my friend is Pun.
Pun, yeah.
Pun is
Holy
my friend as well, yeah.
message, Batman.
Silver.
I gotta send
why
Pun
do you have to do that
updated.
with the cursed Sonic one.
I'm not even gonna read it. I'll be honest. That's too fucking long. I can't be
Oh, the game.
It's a TTS.
How do we?
Maybe a legal copy of Sonic.
How do we mute in the game? Mute.
Are we muting game or are we gonna mute in Discord?
Muting game.
I just have push to talk in game.
The game's audio is kind of
so we could just leave it in
Discord.
How do we shut it off?
When we have to load back up, remember to hit like I think V
mutes you
in game.
Yeah.
You'll have to do it.
You'll have to do it every time.
I have it set to push to talk, so I have to hold V to talk in game.
Oh.
So I'm just leaving that off and just talking without it.
Yeah, I'll probably
mess with that real quick.
Yep, no worries at all.
Push it.
Silver brings us culture. Silver brings us something. I'm going to go over to Red's chat, Red's stream title, and see what is up over here. Oh no, open link in what do Red? Red.
God.
Okay.
God.
What is this?
What do you mean?
What?
Driving
What?
in my car right after a beer. Hey, the bump is shaped like a landmine.
Jesus.
I mean, mine.
Oh yeah, it's also a spoiler. I'm drinking.
Myself down.
This is my surprise face.
I thought it would be funny if I drunk and drive. Now get in the car.
That's not funny. Don't promote that. Don't drink and drive, kids.
No, you drink then you drive. It's hard to.
No.
We do not advocate you going to jail or getting a DUI
Or killing somebody by crashing into them.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's
Everyone's okay
fine.
here.
It's fine.
I broke the game. I already broke the game. I'm good. I fixed it.
You already broke the game. Okay, I'm gonna turn my music.
It was.
Just do it from OBS.
Oh, hey, you can carry people.
Oh God.
How do you throw them?
I am baby. No. Oh.
There we go.
Alrighty.
Who's the shortest one here?
We're all the same.
We're all the same height. What are you talking about?
What?
How tall
Push.
Get out of here.
Push.
Go.
Push.
Throw me in the water.
Push.
Push.
No, wait.
E, pick up.
You just have to move back around.
I did it.
Uh-oh.
Swim.
No.
Push.
It's
Wait,
not you.
I can't put you down. Oh God. Oh!
Wait, what?
I don't know how to put you down. I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Oh, Q.
Oh, Q.
There we
Throw
go.
Get thrown. Wait. I'm pretty sure Red picked up Chi as Chi was holding.
Yeah, can we do a pickup
Yes.
line? Here, somebody
I
pick up
think so.
somebody. Here, I want to be top.
You want to
Pick
be
me up.
top? Okay, someone pick me up.
I'm picking you
Oh,
up.
calling top? Ooh.
There, wait about your turn. Yeah!
Totem pole.
It's so glitchy on my
5,
end.
4,
So-
3, 2, goodbye.
Yeet! Can we
Try
make a
not to hit the
chain?
rock.
Hey, can we make like a chain yeet? Can we just like?
That's
oh,
what I
shit,
did.
Abby.
See how far we can throw someone up into the sky by like
Wait,
all stacked on top
Is
of
there
each other.
is there only one character in this game? We're all the same character?
I think so. I think we're all just grumpy old men.
All right.
What are you
Yeah.
guys talking about?
We could change hats.
I look
though,
stylish.
as you unlock them.
Okay,
Wait, we
I
have
look
hats?
stylish as shit.
We have hats.
Oh, there's some
What
right
if you
here.
Unlock them though.
There's some here.
Yeah.
Hats.
Wait, can you guys see my hat change? I
Change our
changed
hat.
Yeah, you have
Okay.
a beanie.
Word. Yeah, there was a beanie over there. I yoinked it. Oh, 6-pack. Let's go. It's just like real life.
Wait, I don't know how to change my hat.
Infinite flight? Why, Annie?
You.
How do I-
I'm dropping the beer everywhere.
How do I
Got a
change
burger
my
pit.
hat?
Why did you drop the beer?
I'm sorry.
Smoking.
Is this a
How
fridge?
about the coaster since you
Here,
took it off the
here's
thing?
burgers. Hamburger.
Don't forget the beer. Oh shit, this is empty beer.
Now I have a
Oh,
ball
oh.
cap.
Hey, catch.
Can I just can't drop here? What do you
Apparently
mean?
I can swim with a cigarette and it doesn't go out.
I hardly knew her. Why? What do you
Damn,
mean?
how many
Why?
beers did you already have?
Smoking. Tape.
An EpiPen? Cassette.
Yeah, those are our
A
revives.
cassette. Wow, it's a cassette. Words are hard.
Yeah.
Where's
I'm
this
not doing
radio
anything.
this
Oil.
goes in for? Here
How
we
does this
go.
game work?
Player.
Is there a trash can, or am I just gonna be an asshole?
You're gonna be an asshole.
I'm being an asshole. I like how I asked, like out of everything. Oh, there's a walkie-talkie. Ah, you said Emote was ass.
Ayo.
I mean, we're in Discord, so I don't think they walk you.
Get it out of here! I need it in the water. We can't use.
Oh, the
Why does the
walkie-talkie
music
is
keep
for...
on starting as soon as I leave.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I
Never
hit the
done-
wrong button. Stop.
Turbo
There's
light.
the stop button.
What do I?
What?
I have a dartboard. Can I put it somewhere? Who got the fridge open? Goddamn.
I don't know. It was like that when I got here.
Yeah. There, that's where the dartboard goes. Yep.
There's an owner's manual, guys.
Oh, good.
There's a winch.
Oh.
Yeah, I attached it to that tree.
Hey, you're a winch. Talking mean stuff to everybody else.
Oh,
I attached it to that. I attached it to that
That's
tree over
sexy
there.
bitch there.
Wait,
God
why?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, this will be a short game.
Can't we just
No,
pull it out with
Red,
us?
what are you doing? I see Les
Hey.
is saying don't make a mess.
Oh, the stone shit
Put up the
everywhere.
winch.
Man, I look
Oh, I
good
just-
as shit. God damn, look at my
Ah.
triple chin. Holy, god damn. Look at that.
Hold on, I just threw the
Oh, hey,
owner's
Ghiga.
manual through the
Ghiga.
wall, so
Giga, window.
where?
Window.
Where you just were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gone. It's yeah.
What's up?
just threw-
Yo.
Taking a shit.
Should I
Shit.
take a shit
Is that
through
the
the window?
Yeah, I'm in the bathroom.
Control.
You can sit there in your stink. We're gonna close that window.
This is great. If I ever get the urge to smoke, I'll just play Are We There Yet?
Oh, there's emotes.
So-
I'll just give you a thumbs up. Good job.
Yeah, every time I hit emotes, my ship breaks, so I can't really.
No!
Oh, you have to
The
hold it?
wall
Is it
gonna
because I
lose the
tapped it?
manual?
Oh.
Wait. Red.
Wait,
No.
wait,
Now
there's
you're
another
even more
manual
like
already?
Cartman.
Why is there two manuals?
Let's see if I can break it out.
going home.
Respect,
I'll see if I can
res-
break it out later. I feel like I need a reminder to how it sounds.
respect my authority.
Yeah, it's the.
Me.
Respect my authority, you son of a bitch.
Me.
That type
Yeah,
of thing.
my comment comes naturally. I've gotten the comment a lot of times, but I don't force it.
Yeah, yeah.
It just happens. Sometimes
believe-
Cartman just comes out a little.
I believe I said that before, that you kind of sound like Cartman.
You and many other people. It's really funny.
That is hilarious. Okay, is there
Funniest part,
All right, are we
what's
supposed to
on it.
like be loading the RV with things, or?
Well, there's
I think
darts.
we've already got everything in there.
Hold on. I
Yeah.
want to make sure there's a hat in the
Hey,
middle.
Chi,
Yeah,
What's the
and it's cold
default?
coffee.
fetch.
I guess we get to put this. I mean, there are gonna be boards where we go, but I guess we could have an extra one to start off with. No, we can't attach it. Never mind. It's just gonna sit there until it rolls off.
I just threw a coffee cup at the RV.
Okay, here's the question though: who's gonna drive manual?
Not me.
Oh, I got this.
I call not
okay,
it.
cool.
You have this all the way, Red.
I got this. Yeah.
Chi,
Hold on.
you-
Yeah.
Let me get prepared in real life
chat
too.
Scene according to Les.
What's that?
What?
Les says you're still on your chat scene.
Oh, am I? Oh, I probably am.
I've done it many times before, so I
Yeah,
can't say
same.
anything.
I do it all
It
the
wouldn't
fucking time.
be. It wouldn't be a cheese stream if I wasn't scuffed in some way.
The number of times puns like we
There we
can't
go.
see the game.
I do it
Thanks,
fair.
Les.
I want to start mine with a certain song. Why I have to wait for the ads to start and everything else like that, and then I accidentally just hit for the
so
whole
short.
playlist to start, and it started the wrong song.
Oh, I got you. Come here,
Thank
buddy.
you.
All right.
Thank you, Red.
Jump.
All right.
That's what
Anyway.
it feels
Jump.
like. And just be
Yeah.
like, wee.
Oh, come on. All right. Yeah, my next one. I'm here. All right. You're in the vehicle too now. I'm stuck. Where'd that hat go?
Are we supposed to be starting, or you just want the hat?
No, I was just fucking with all you.
Whoops.
fact that
Whoever
you're
takes
close.
co-pilot
Bed.
gets to read the map.
Oh, I do
I'm
love
just-
maps, but me driving would be way funnier.
I'm just here for the
where's the
ride.
map?
On the map. On the map. It's in the door console.
You
Of
guys,
the
once you
passenger
register an outfit, you can change freely in the bathroom.
Whoa.
If you want to, I'd pick up
Yep.
the hat.
Where are we at?
That's
I
an
think I have
excellent
almost all
question.
the hats unlocked, so I'm all good.
Oh shit! Wow, I have to like do everything. Holy shit!
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
no joke.
I also have a broken leg, but that's not important.
What is on top?
That'll
What?
fix itself eventually.
Okay.
Got it.
It says, I don't know. Forward and to the right.
The door's open!
Close the door.
I can't.
Why
I
do you
got a
have
board
that
in my
board?
hand. I don't know. It was on the ceiling. Okay, I got it.
Where's Wambat?
Where is Wayne? Wait at.
I'm on the toilet. Changing
Take
my
it.
hat.
Oh, word.
Taking a poop.
What does that sign mean?
Butt? I don't know.
What?
Is it butt? Yeah, we got a butt up here,
The
guys.
butt.
Couple
You got-
cheeks.
We got
Going
butt.
on
Butt.
vacation with my 3 dads.
Hello, Gingy. Thank you for the
Oh, the
chicken
uncles.
attack.
That's what it always reminds me is those uncle stories. Like my uncle had to went
Yeah, we'll
fishing
get
one
going
year
on
and
this
something
stuff.
bad shit happened.
I mean, the map is called Mabs Valley, so it would only make sense.
We're going to Butts
That does
Valley?
make sense.
Oh,
No, we're
oh
in
God.
Butts.
I'm falling out.
Sorry, you might want to sit down or something.
I got attacked by a cowboy hat.
Oh yeah.
To the right.
Oh, I think there is only a right.
The only
There is no
logical
left,
option.
only right.
Hey, look, a avalanche. This can't.
Oh God! Oh God! The door's open! We're gonna die!
Well, we
Oh,
just lost the
shit.
roof and everything.
Oh.
We didn't need
have
that
a
anyway.
inflatable
At least the air freshener survived.
rave, too.
Yeah, right. What the hell? We didn't need that roof.
Whoa, what is that
Windows.
pile of rocks over there? Do you see that?
It looks like a pile of poo. Let's go.
Oh, Poo Rock! I want to go to Poo Rock.
Yeah. We're going to
Red
Poo Rock.
Drive.
Correct.
Going to
I
Poo
think
I
I
Rock.
got-
don't know what
Tours
you're talking
there.
about.
It's like Fraggle Rock, but poo.
But poo.
This-
Take
Oh,
your
the
cares
roof-
away,
the roof is
worries
back.
For another day.
How'd the roof get back?
To the right? To the right.
Yeah, I just repaired the roof.
The road is
Oh.
closed.
Oh no.
There's a hole there.
Oh no.
Let's
Where's the alternative exit?
You gotta put a board over the hole so you can get across.
is that it? It just says detour and it's just a fucking hole.
Yeah, you
Couples.
gotta build a bridge. I see
Oh,
this
God, we
part
actually have to-
before.
Build a bridge.
I've
Okay.
seen this part before.
hold on. I need to put this back in the door. Attach map to map holder. Well, I'm sure Red is a professional.
Yeah.
I mean,
Professional
that was
writer.
a good joke, Giga. That was funny.
Oh, did our no?
Wait.
How did we get the top
And I
back
did-
on our bus? What?
I
It just
Wham-
kind of appeared.
Wambat
Oh,
fixed it.
Nice. Wambat
grabbed-
knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Does
So
that
if
look
you come in
passable?
here-
That looks crossable.
It looks like
Giga.
something.
It's okay, sure.
If
Nothing
you-
a little bit of speed won't
I
fix.
shall
Sure, it looks
direct you back to
great.
the
Just
RV.
gun it and hope for the best.
I love how the
In the
Texan has a
RV.
cowboy hat.
Yeah, so,
You see the three things on the wall here in the
Oh,
Yes.
that's how you guys fix
back?
my fuck
The
ups.
drill
Got
bits
it.
for your tires, the
That's one
hammers
way to
for
put
the
it.
repairs, and
Yeah.
that's a remote for the winch.
Nice.
You lose them, we are screwed. So don't lose them.
Don't lose.
I'll just leave
Ow!
'em on
Why?
Wait, how do I
That's it.
fix
I
it?
think
How
you
do I
can't
fix-
kill. I think you can beat someone to death with the hammer.
Yeah, I'm down. I got
Wait,
some
how do I
wood.
repair? Oh, use scrap metal. We don't have any scrap metal.
Yeah, I had to use the scrap metal for the roof.
Giga has a hook. Giga's hooking us. Giga hook us to a tree.
There's more than one way to get this thing across.
Giga, you fix that plank and we're going for this shit.
All right, you got us hooked.
Yeah, if you use the front winch, you might be able to just winch it up.
Oh god, we're gonna die. Don't hit the tree!
Ah!
Hits tree.
There we go. Winch is
Oh.
on a hook.
Alright.
Alright, Giga, you in? I parked it.
Hold on, keep
There
on
we go.
winching. Keep on pulling up the front winch. What am I tied? Oh, I'm
What?
tied around the tree. Hold up.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
he's
had
trying to
it
put the
released.
winch
You have
back.
to put it up. Yeah, you have to
Okay,
still
Okay,
put
there
it
we
back.
go.
I was gonna say, do you need me to
Reset
move a little?
There we
Yeah,
go.
you just hit reset winch and it'll be good.
Giga does know
Okay,
his
yeah,
winches.
move
Look at
forward
him
to the
go.
left.
Oh, okay.
Look at him go. He's
Giga
just going,
knows
don't
his
leave,
winches.
Giga!
What's that supposed to mean?
What? He said
Run
we
him
left
down.
me left
Sure
you.
he could, I was making sure he's good.
Oh,
Pick me
oh,
up. She pick me up.
oh. I said, man, you can't jump?
Thank
You
you.
need help like BB? There you go.
Yes. Oh,
Right.
wow. Okay.
I just got-
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you out the window.
Does baby need help? Baby
I was-
can be thrown out the window.
I was just trying to give uppies.
The passenger princess needs a lift. Red tree.
Dude,
There was
I-
a tree.
It's a big fucking vehicle, okay? Should we fix that? Can we fix that?
We don't have any scrap metal.
No, not until we can get more scrap metal. So
Alright,
now
that's
we're on a
Left,
safari.
Left.
This is a crazy left, by the way. Like, hold
Hey, there's
on,
a
I gotta-
picnic table over there.
A minute.
Oh, dear lord.
Oh, I turned the
Oh.
fucking off.
Banging up!
Picnic table?
Hang
Yeah,
on.
over by the lake.
Okay.
Get all my stuff
Oh.
back.
Giga ran
Oh,
away.
there's
What?
a cabin out here too.
Watch for bears.
Cabin?
The road
We're
leads
going
us
on
straight
adventure.
to the cabin.
Be
I think
careful
the road
of
leads us
bears
straight to
and
the cabin
snakes
anyways.
and whatnot.
Oh, it might.
Yeah. Let me see where we are.
Whoa, snake? Giga, there's
Oh,
a snake
I
on
just
you.
heard a snake.
It's
What
on
do I do
you.
with a snake.
No, don't go near it again.
Careful of
Hey,
snakes.
sunglasses.
Where the hell are
Bear
we?
spray.
Snake
bunch of
not
glasses in
nice.
here.
Oh, this is the first. I think this is the
I
first-
found nuggets.
No, no.
Do they fix
I have
broken
drugs.
bones?
You found.
Oh!
Oh, there was a snake.
Oh,
I am
snake!
poison.
There's a few snakes around here. I'm gonna go put the nuggets thing.
I am completely down due to
Revive.
poison.
I'm an antidote. I just stabbed you with random drugs
Oh man, I
found
fucked
out
up
in the
our
wild.
RV like crazy. Goddamn.
I'm
It's okay. I found another
scared.
antidote and stabbed myself.
I'm scared of the
I would like to say
snakes.
I am definitely afraid of snakes.
You have to
I'm
face
afraid
your
of-
fears.
But I'm
Gotta be
afraid of
tough.
the danger
I am.
noodles.
I don't like danger.
Danger noodle!
Face-
No! No!
Face your fears.
Oh my god, ouchie!
Ow! Ow, the
I get
bit
it
me.
out of here before something else
I've
happens.
been bitten. I thought I could maybe try and pick it up. It cannot. Ow.
Now what
I
happens?
don't need to take antidote. I want to give antidote. Oh, apparently you don't die.
What?
We'll put you somewhere safe.
Okay.
Go, Pikachu.
Ah!
Okay.
Go
Ouch!
Pikachu.
Ouch! Why? I'm bit. I'm boat.
Oh yeah,
I'm
no.
boat.
Peachy or rocket? I
Boat
don't like
bit.
sparkling water at all, so I'll leave that
Oh,
to you.
oh shit. Oh, lag or some. Oh, Wambat. Oh my god, Wambat, you
No,
scared me.
I just we're not tall enough to get in this angle.
Oh, you
Oh,
it's
can.
easy
You just
to
gotta
just
be.
throw
You
you.
just gotta be
Uppies.
skilled.
uppies! Thank you.
Where's Giga? Nah, I don't remember.
He's over there getting bitted.
That's great for Ghiga. Anyway.
He's getting over there getting bit because he threw me at a snake.
What is rocket pop? What is rocket pop?
Like a popsicle?
Flavored sparkling movement. Sitting
Rocket
down.
a rocket pop is a rocket pop is a popsicle. The red, white, and blue ones.
Someone's fixing
Oh, yeah. I just always knew them as red, white, and blue ones.
Why? What? Yeah.
Talk
Then
about
you had
red,
the
white,
Sonic
Pops.
bubblegum eyeball ones with the Ninja Turtles and everything.
These aren't flavors. These are adjectives.
Oh, stop.
But Les,
There's
he
some- I think
threw
there's
me
some
at a
scrap over here.
snake, and it bit me.
I'm
Hey.
poison too. It's fine.
Yeah, right? Like all poison.
I'm still poisoned.
Yay, scrap. I found some scrap.
Can
And
I
scrap.
take a drink
And a
of
beer.
What does
Giga
this do for
did.
my health?
It actually does nothing to your health, but it makes you stronger for a bit.
Will beer make
That's
me
That's
less?
how beer works.
Will beer make me less poison?
How it
Oh
works in
shit,
this
another
game.
snake! I didn't know that was a snake! I don't want to be
what you
out here
get.
anymore! Danger,
I would
danger!
say go for the Pop Rocks one. Oh, thanks
Danger
for the
noodles.
Chunkla.
Chunkla.
Where's
Where'd everybody
I'm not
go?
leaving. I'm not leaving this car ever again.
Lizard. Lizard.
walk
Lizard.
away.
Danger
Stop.
noodles.
Lizard. Lizard.
We stopped because I to get some scrap metal, so I can do
Oh,
some
got
repairs.
it.
Where did you get the scrap metal from?
From the lake
Get
right there.
Grandma Chunkla? Yeah.
Wait, you go diving in the lake for scrap metal?
No, it was right there at the shore. I
Oh,
picked it
we're
up.
going backwards. What's happening?
Sorry.
I got scared.
Guys, hello.
Yeah?
Where are
What?
you?
I'm on-
Yeah!
Where's-
Okay, as soon as you go over the top of this hill, you'll want
What?
to
Giga's just running
Go
away.
to the left. You'll want to try to run me over this road, and then you'll
Got
see
it.
to the
Run
right.
Giga over. Say no more.
Lord.
Where are you?
The grandma
I'm just
chocolate.
sliding.
Yeah!
This way.
Yeah!
There's
Okay.
a
Hey,
house.
we made it to the first
Um,
checkpoint.
Yep. So
Oh.
you can keep on pulling it up. Right.
Oh, pulling up. Okay. I was
Is there more snack in there?
Although I will congratulate Red. He's
scrap metal.
doing
Ah!
a much more phenomenal job with the gear shift than like every other streamer I've
Bear
seen.
Dude,
spray.
it's fucking tough. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It's not easy.
Home Alone 45. I mean, oh look, new music. Absolute calm intro. How old? I don't believe it.
I have bear spray. Is it for spraying
Ow.
bears?
Ouch! What's
Oh,
hurting you?
sorry. Oh, am I hitting you guys?
Yeah, if you hit it. Ow.
Okay, alright, Jesus fuck. Every time I try to look away from somebody walks in front of me. I'm not doing it. I'm just standing here.
How do I eject the?
Every time I try to help.
Why is
Over
there a can of nuggets?
Oh, yeah, I found that.
That's
Why?
like almost a full health restore.
Where did that?
Why-
Where did that tape go? I just.
I'm
keep
still
on throwing things
poisoned.
Into the abyss.
Oh,
Hello?
please, some of
I
this
can't-
does what I. I'm fast as fuck now!
It's
Yeah!
fast as
Are you
fuck,
Sonic, or you just
Oh,
have
shit.
head?
I just found a whole bunch of scrap metal just chilling in the woods.
Well, I was gonna say Sonic, but actually probably Red's on
So,
just gone
so,
cocaine.
so how do
That's what
I
it is.
use my scrap metal? Run my.
I think.
How you
so
use
if
the
you
scrap
pick
metal? It's a everyone use, and you
Okay.
just grab the
Fireworks.
hammer and then find a spot, and it'll go glow green, and you'll
Ow!
whack it,
Ow!
unless
Yeah. See,
unless
Everybody's
Chii's too
dangerous.
close.
Ouch!
Or
Everybody
someone's
get away
too
from
close.
Wambat. Everybody just get away from Wambat. He's repairing
There.
our vehicle.
Yeah, I can't
But that's
believe
what you
I
do.
can't
I'll
believe
put
you
it
hit
down
me.
while he's doing
green.
that.
You just
Chi,
I
if you want to, or Red
Yeah.
want to,
I'm repairing our
it'll
vehicle.
glow. See? That easy.
cabinet.
Country roads take
Don't
me
hit me!
home.
Don't hit me! Plant.
Right. Repairing up front. Nobody stand up front. Where'd that go? Where'd that prompt go? Where's that prompt?
So,
Where'd that...
but usually this is kind of limited. So if we're
Alright,
low,
that's the repair.
make sure the roof and the ladder to the roof are the first
Why
things you
is
fix.
Sonic speaking Japanese?
Why not?
I don't know.
That's what he sounds like. It sounds like he's legitimately speaking Japanese.
Oh,
Arigato.
Did, Pun put
Gozaimasu.
it up?
Exactly like that.
Pun put it- put,
100%. I don't know
Sonic
how
on
the
there?
AI got that out of it, but whatever.
What was it? Giga used to have a nickname. Oh yeah, Oni-chan.
Are we
No.
bringing back.
I thought his
Okay.
nickname was Cult Leader.
I know,
That's
Oni,
also one.
Oni-chan.
There's also Stepbrother and Oni-chan and all these other
Gig
twisted
ass.
things.
Where is
Oni,
Giga?
Oni-chan.
Giga.
I'm actually on the road ahead. I'm scouting out what obstacles I can
On
watch
the
you
road
crash over.
again. I
Nah,
just can't
we
wait to
go.
get on the road again.
No, no, clutch. Oh my god, the clutch is actually
Da,
miserable
da,
sometimes.
da, 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 da.
All right, let's see here.
Da, 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 da.
Oh, this road
So
is...
we're gonna round out and then go to the right.
Going on
Now make a
vacation with my 3 dads.
Dude, it's just a hell.
Whee!
Good.
I
We're
usually
vibing.
don't complain about curves, but holy cow, this is
Gonna
gonna be
curve
cool.
to our right.
That's what she said.
Oh, good.
Kind of curves to the right.
Yep, no comments.
And it's gonna be a stronger curve to the left.
Hello, Shank, 'tis what she proclaimed. Yeah, it's fine.
Ah,
We're gonna kind of
ah,
zigzag.
Giga, watch
Tis
out.
what she proclaimed if did.
Proclaimed it. Oh, I just got ran
Gonna
over.
Proclaimed it.
Ooh, that was almost really bad. Cool.
What does the thing at the top
We're
mean?
gonna- We're going to the right once you get the chance.
Yeah, I'm just trying not to hit this tree right here.
What is the-
Run in front of the vehicle.
What does the
Just run
blue
it over. Don't
what
worry
does
about
the
it.
blue and red and yellow thing at the top of the screen mean in the
So
bar?
blue is the actual structural integrity of the RV. So
Oh.
the more blue, the more damaged it is. The
Uh-huh.
red is the engine, and the yellowish is the tires.
Is this safe? Ah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
What's the worst that could happen?
I'm still
As long as-
poisoned.
We fall off, it blows up, and we restart from the checkpoint.
Red, why are you just stopping in
It's-
the middle?
I'm not trying to stop. The gear shift
Red,
is
why are you
actually the worst.
Stopping in the middle of a...
It's
rickety
actually the worst. Let me tell you, it is not well. It's the
bridge.
worst.
Soup cult leader, Gigasama? Gigasama? What?
Oh shit.
Giga soup.
Giga soup.
Gig Sama. No, not Sama.
Giga, don't stand there. Giga, it is a hill, and this is a big RV.
Okay.
Yeah!
Run for your life!
You have to pretty much take an immediate right as soon as
I
you
am-
get...
Oh no.
I'm in
No,
We're
danger.
gonna die!
no.
We're
I
gonna
got
die!
it, I
We're
got it.
gonna die!
Holy
We're gonna
shit,
die!
I'm
We're gonna
good.
die! We're gonna die! We're gonna die!
I am fucking amazing at this shit.
Good job, Red. This is why you're driving.
Yeah.
If that was me, we would have died and then
see
got
what
stuck
we're
in the
doing.
snow somehow.
Yeah.
Here we go. To the left.
So after you crest this hill, it pretty much takes an immediate left. And we have a really...
Oh.
We have
Oh.
a worse bridge.
Oh. Oh.
Okay. Somebody.
Oh,
I hear
bear!
That's a bear.
There's
Someone
bear
pick me
spray!
up. I'm in. I was in.
Where was
Is
the
it-
bear mace?
You're not in?
Me home.
It's on the shelf back there.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Just stay
I think
in.
we're good if we just get across.
We're almost to
There's
poop. We're almost to poop rock. There
Oh,
it
there's
is.
poop rock.
Hang on. We gotta. Giga, did you make it back on? Or
No, I'm
stuck
at
in
the
front of it?
bottom of the ravine, definitely looking to the sky.
Oh
Oh,
no.
It's about as dead as it gets.
Rescue mission time.
Yeah, can we
I
rescue
can't believe-
him, or is he just
I don't
dead?
know what
dead?
happens. Do you just get to the same? Do you just get? Because I'm dead. Do you just?
Oh,
get
if
to
you're
the
just straight up dead, we go to the next checkpoint, and there should be a
Okay, yeah.
revive point.
Go to the next checkpoint.
Oh my god, look at the bear over there just vibing.
He really
Yeah,
is.
he's just like, well, fuck.
Oh, oh, oh,
Go
oh,
away, the
oh,
bear-
oh!
What's it doing? What the fuck?
The bear just
bear don't
committed
give no shit. He's
seppuku.
just gonna hit that.
What?
He just jumped
Bear
down there. He's
The
gotta
bear.
give him a piece of Giga.
Walk it off. I can't walk it off.
No,
My
that
legs are
bear.
broke.
That bear just
That
wasn't
bear-
fit. He wasn't
bear
fit
in
for
the
this
car.
world. All right, let's go over save
Alrighty.
Giga.
So it looks like to the
We
right.
Just go to the next checkpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
Oh, but we didn't
then
go
it looks
see
like it's
Poop
gonna-
Mountain.
you
Poop
saw from
mountain.
distance.
Poop Hill's behind us.
So,
Uh-oh.
Chad, I've died.
It's gonna be a hard left.
My game
Don't
froze.
say.
When
I
you
wonder,
it's good
am I
going
gonna go straight or right? No, there's a fucking rock that way. Of course it's left.
No, it's a left.
Wait, my game is
It's a
frozen.
left.
Cheese character just staring off into the sunset.
My game is frozen.
Game is frozen. No.
Need to reboot it?
I don't know.
Gee, same from pun.
Possibly.
Staring off into the middle of nowhere.
Oh yeah, what? Oh, this is weird. I bet you right there.
I think
I'm trying
it's.
to.
I
I'm
think
just
it
trying to
died.
Oh,
The
no,
game
I-
died. No.
Forgetting to turn on.
Alright,
Jeez.
my chat thing.
I had to end task.
Oh, rough.
Hold F4.
I,
So do we get
I relaunch.
does Chi on in
There
with
we
us?
go.
Or does-
Now I can
does
actually
Chi-
see.
Maybe once we get to the next checkpoint, everyone
Yeah,
can
should
fall
we-
back in. Not sure.
let's
how that
wait for-
works.
So when we get to the next checkpoint, there will be graves when we can say summon / buy you back.
Oh, okay, word. So we have.
Oh,
We should
my
wait for
friends
Chiga.
are my friends are so tiny. I need to fix my friends.
Little people.
Uh-oh.
Yes, you are so little. Why are you so tiny? You guys are
So
just
little. So
the
little.
littlest friends. What the heck?
Listen, I already have
I mean,
a
how
step
do we
stool at
fit-
home. I know I'm short.
What do you mean? That's how we fit in your computer. Is we have to be tiny.
Must be little.
Little.
Oh,
I
Pud
too
knows
Yeah,
my
would like
issues.
to look 10 years left. What? What pun? Huh?
And just
Mm-hmm.
Sacred step.
Sacred
stools.
step stool. Yes.
That's wild.
Ooh, beer meat.
you know what's happening. Let's go.
Yeah.
Fuck
Tell me
nature.
do it.
Okay, and then
I
you
gotta
gotta
re-invite you
move.
back
You gotta
in.
light up the
Peachy.
smoke too.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Mmm.
Ah.
Send an invite. See if that lets you in or not.
Okay. One sec.
Mmm.
Another one.
Ah.
I'm
sweet
popping open a
cancer.
non-existent one.
No. Guys, is it really
I
that
made a
smart to
beer
be chugging
appear.
down a bunch
I'm a
of beers?
fucking wizard.
It has no ill effects outside of making us stronger, and then later on when we need strength, we're screwed.
She has returned to her chair. Just
It's my-
happy
oh,
with-
I'm back.
Oh, don't turn your head like that while sitting in a chair. Your head just spins all the way
Dear
backwards.
Lord. It's the Exorcist now. Chi has been Chi has been possessed.
I'm
Yes.
back, boys.
Wait, do I still have my hat?
Chi, you
Yeah. Oh,
Chi, you're
no, it looks like
also
you have
in
the OG
Game
hat.
Voices now. You might have
Aw.
to hit V.
Oh, did it reset?
Yeah.
Da, da, da,
Dude, who the hell is making all these empty
There we
beer
go.
cans anyway?
I love it. Let me drink all the beer. Okay, now how we get rid of the trash? We just throw it out into the countryside.
Yay.
It can return to nature from whence it came.
Are you back in this, G?
I think so.
He'll eventually be absorbed back in the mountain.
Maybe it's shaking.
You'll be
Are you
reading-
okay? You're
I'm shaking.
You're like shaking like a chihuahua.
That's because I'm
As
not
he's
seated.
drink a pile of beer and he's smoking, I'm sure that has nothing to do with
You
it.
didn't bring Ghiga back yet?
No.
We have to get to the,
You're
Yeah,
stuck
we
on a
did.
tree!
Okay, goddamn, it's a big car.
I know, but the
Is that
branches are
mud?
coming through and
Whoa,
hitting
whoa.
me in the face.
Is that mud? Do we have to like?
Yeah, but we'll be good. It's not gonna do
Just-
anything to us.
We got this.
Just-
Don't worry.
Slam on the
We
gas.
just need some
power through it.
speed.
Proclaim.
Yeah.
Oh, nice job.
There we go.
Look, there's Poop Rock again.
We're back.
Poop Rock.
I guess we'll have to use the knife. The poop knife.
Oh, hey.
What's
all this shit?
that? Stuff.
Oh,
What, a
look,
poop knife?
Oh, there's
Another
stuff.
way to get up.
Stuff
Ooh,
in
windshield.
there.
Oh,
It
the
is.
tires, and
Rams.
the engine, or maybe not the engine, the tires. For
Scrap
Sure.
metal.
Wait, what is
Tires are, they're not that damaged.
Motor oil.
I was just
What is
looking at
it?
what was on
Where?
Oh,
Oh no!
I found an
Are we doing what I
antidote.
think we're about to do. Do we have
Rock
to get?
climbing?
Oh, where do we go? I guess we go over there. Do we? Oh my God! This is gonna be hell. I got this.
I'll be fine. What's
Get
the
up.
worst that could happen?
There we go.
Can't attach here. Where did I put this motor
These
oil
are
I found?
So the pins are for areas that we don't have a spot to like attach the winch to. So the pin will go in the ground, and then we can attach to it.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's scrap
Yes.
metal.
I'm free of poison now.
There's an antidote over here. Or there was one.
You put the oil in the.
Wait, what do I do with the oil? I have
Use
some.
the engine, which is underneath.
Out of nowhere.
Hold on.
It goes
just,
in the engine, and the engine is
get that shit out of there.
underneath the bed.
You just threw away my dartboard.
You're dead. Shit.
How do I put it in there? How do I put it in there?
Not wrong.
Oh, repair
Not wrong
engine.
at all.
Click. I did it.
Oh, you. You saw the prompt? I didn't see the prompt. Now I'm just holding this fucking motor oil and nowhere to
You
put
just,
it.
you just
Put it in with the
left click.
Cabinets.
No, it's
Put it in
fully
the cabinet.
repaired. I can't get it. Cheat move!
I'm sorry. You can't because there's already one there. It only goes in that big spot.
Hardly knew her. Why punch?
Just
It goes on
throw
the
it.
shelf.
Not
There you go.
necessary.
Good job.
Motor
Alright.
motor. Hardly
Everybody
knew
get
it.
in. We're doing dumb shit.
Hey, see, there's a cabinet up here you can put stuff
Really?
into.
The
Ah!
best
Ah!
direction to
Ah! I
go?
fell out. No! Don't
That's
leave me.
what it looks
No,
like we were supposed to do.
don't leave me.
Yeah, we have to.
Don't
Get
leave me.
cardboard.
Don't leave me.
Get-
Let me in.
Then get in. What
I'm
are you
trying.
doing?
I fell out. I
love
got
how
scared.
it's shifting and it's not doing anything.
I got scared.
She was doing the thing, man. You were in the wrong spot. Wow.
Oh wow, that did not go. All right, hold on. And can I drop here? You
Why
can
did it
go
go
in.
in like that? Anyways.
How do we? Oh man, how do we get the get out of this situation? That's bad.
Well, you can probably grab a winch and go backwards or forwards.
Yes, that would be my suggestion.
No, you're just not
From the
thinking with
grave,
planes.
I am providing advice.
I fixed it.
Eh.
Priority.
Damn, is the problem that this shit is two-wheel drive? Do we have a two-wheel drive RV?
Who has a two-wheel drive
Yes, this
RV?
is not
That's
This
crazy.
is not four-wheel.
Oh my god, that's the fucking problem.
What did you just do? I just got yeeted 50 feet in the air.
Yeet.
Oh, there's a plank behind you. I think you did it to yourself somehow.
Oh, thanks for
No,
the
you
stylish
dropped
haircut.
the plank, and the plank shot me like 50
So
feet in the
you're gonna
air.
winch yourself out.
How do we
Why,
winch?
pun?
How do I winch?
Oh, there's stuff on top. How'd you climb that ladder?
You attach the winch and then you
Yeah,
use this remote.
There's a ladder. You just run up the ladder.
There's
Oh,
a
I thought
remote
I was
in
looking
here for the
like, some
winch.
kind of like trigger, like, oh, this is how you get up and use the ladder.
No, you just walk up. You look at the ladder and you walk in.
Why not, pun?
Why pun?
Why not, pun?
Because
Can
pun.
how's the
Pun.
You gotta. There's a remote in here for the winch.
yeah? I want to see how that works. How does that? How does that work? Yeah.
Is it the front or the back?
Damn it!
It's the back.
I'm just going everywhere and just like. Bleh.
Reverse.
Dang it.
Wait.
Hold on.
Toggle
Actually, might have
rear.
to
This button. And then
There we
Pull.
go. Put some motor oil in.
Oh,
Is what he
yeah, that's it.
keep going.
There we go.
Keep going. Oh, keep going. Yeah, we're stuck. We need a.
Tell me when to
Is that
stop.
the way it wants you
That's
to
too
go?
much. All right. Hold on. You know what? I can just go outside. And
Oh God, we're gonna tip
Keep
over.
going. Just keep going.
Okay,
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good.
I stopped.
Oh, excuse me.
You just
But,
go to the winch and hit reset.
Well, I'm gonna use these to my advantage, or at least 2 of these to my advantage.
There we go. Tires are repaired.
So it wants you to wrap all the way around?
Huh? Yeah, we're basically just going in and making a Yui on the rocks.
Got it.
That's how I like my drinks. Whoa, Giga's
The
getting
drinks
a
are
raid.
Oh, hello.
Hey!
Oh, Artie. Hello, Artemis Frost. Can we make sure we give her a shout out? This is
Ow.
why I was like, oh, hey, Artie. Like, you all started. I'm like, guys, I got to stream in a few moments. I can't join. How was stream? I know you did. Are we there yet? I'm dead. And they're trying to get to the next checkpoint. It's a thing. Hi, I am playing in the snow. Yeah, Artie from a place that gets no snow is currently in a place that has snow, so she's like, snow! But when you live in a place that gets snow,
Yeah.
you're like, no! But yes, Curry, we're trying. So far, Red is actually
We're
doing a
going.
good
What the
job
hell's
that?
Alright.
the thing.
We're good.
We might
stuck
sink.
a little bit. It's
No.
fine.
Nah, we're not stuck. It just might take a bit.
We need to
Hey,
turn. You gotta
reviving
turn the
ESS
wheel.
Folks, I don't think they know how to revive.
We have to get to
I
the-
fell down to a bottom of a cliff. They
Yeah, my,
couldn't get
platinum,
I think we have to
platinum.
get to a
They
checkpoint
have
to
get
revive.
a checkpoint to even be
Reset
able
my
to
winch for
revive.
me. Reset
Okay.
the winch.
He allows
Please
wasn't allowed
reset.
to gun and repo. That's smart.
Oh god.
No, I fell to the
We're
bottom of
backing
the
up.
cliff where they could not get me
Okay.
without dying.
Okay.
We're gonna go. Do you see me, Red?
When I
Yeah.
We're gonna go
when I mess
around.
something up, I mess something up really
Ooh, what's
good.
in here?
Damn, that
You
was
only
2
put a
seconds.
winch
That
to
was
this-
awesome.
It's a rear wheel.
Well,
The
yeah,
RV
it's
is
a
a rear
R.
wheel.
Of course
Oh,
it
rear,
is.
Rear
I'm
wheel.
rur. It's a
You want
rur.
me to put another
Ruh-roh.
pin down or attach it to the tree out there and drag it out? Yeah, I'm not the
Yeah,
ghost
we
of the
can.
RV.
I got. Hold on.
It's fine.
There's
But
another.
how was
There's
stream?
another.
Marty? How was
I think there was
stream?
another attachable winch part. Oh yeah, here we go.
There we go.
Out, right?
We're doing phenomenal.
That might be too much.
Yes,
Hang on.
we're doing great.
Thank you all for the raid.
Great.
I do hope if you all need to
There we go.
relax, raid and run, feel free. In the meantime,
come on.
welcome
Yeah,
as I am the ghost that haunts this RV as we try to figure out what the heck's happening.
Hang on. We could just use the tree.
You don't need to
I just
steal.
need
Well,
it.
I'm gonna set this up for
Fix this.
later. I'm setting this
Oh,
up
we're
for
having a
later.
battle.
Why
I
are
might
you
stop
doing a
now.
battle royale?
We're having a battle on
I hope you
Giga
all
stream.
rest well. Yeah,
Hang on,
it's
let
like
me just drop this
NC's
and
Raiders,
reset
like
it.
more people for the fight.
go.
More battle.
For the war.
More battle.
For Sparta.
More bodies for my war.
Who's gonna win?
Are we good?
There
Chi,
you
can
go.
you do the
Okay.
winch?
Hello,
Yeah,
Suiika and
where's the-
Wambat.
where's the
Welcome
remote?
back to the Ghiga stream.
Is it the
Or it
front
should
or
be
the
in there.
back?
Front.
Front
I think it's
bench.
already on front.
Front? Okay, pushing the button.
Winch.
Yep, front.
Just a little bit though, right? No one's in the chair to keep it from driving off the side.
Yeah, Red, you could probably steer it while you do that.
Yeah, you can.
Well, I couldn't get in. I couldn't get in. I still don't think I can get in. Chi, can you
You want me to pick you
try and
up?
catch me?
You want some
Yeah,
uppies?
pick me up. Let me come up, piece.
Let's go. This
That might work.
Won the battle royale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Customize
nice.
your
There you go.
avatar down below 508 if you so choose.
All right, ready?
I think I
Okay.
can just drive at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, let me.
No, I can't.
detach.
Winch me.
Wenching.
No,
Oh.
wait a minute. We're stuck.
Hang on.
Oh.
You need to connect to the tree on the
Oh,
far.
dear
shit.
Lord.
Whoa,
Oh.
whoa,
Oh my god.
I'm
Stop,
literally being
stop.
pushed straight through.
Oh god.
Just being
Stop the
ran
winch.
over.
Stop the winch. Do we need to restart from the checkpoint?
Do we?
Oh my
no.
God.
Just need to get good.
We got
Oh god. We're gonna
Are you sure?
We're just. Hold on. I just gotta. Why am I sideways?
die.
That's
Oh my
why I
god.
asked.
It's because we're still on the fucking winch. Get to.
I can go backwards.
I don't
Oh,
know what
I
to
think
say.
it was wrapped around the tree, or it like was wrapped around the tree.
What are we wrapped around? Get
It's
this
not.
winch
It's not
off of
attached.
me.
It's not attached anymore. Oh, it's attached over there.
Dear Lord.
Get that shit off me. Hold on. Alright, I gotta see where I am.
Look, as
Alright.
long as Giga perishes, the gold is bloodshed. Why? You don't need to murder the Giga. I'm an
Uh,
elderly folk, but that doesn't mean you need to murder me.
If you're elderly, what does that make me?
R.
No comment.
Gee, if you hit R,
Ah!
the remote on it, it releases it.
It makes you a grandma if we're according to Les's measurements.
With a H. Grandma with a H. Grandma.
With an
We're good.
H. I was
Royally
watching
messing
this
up.
RV slowly fall apart from.
I think Les and I are the same age, so that tracks.
We're good.
Grandmas. Maybe a couple old ladies just beating people with sticks or something.
We're good.
With a
I'm just
H.
sitting here watching this fall apart.
Back up. We're good.
It's
My life
fine.
personified in an
I might
RV.
die in the process.
Almost good. Alright.
Chi, you fantastically cultured.
So the
called
frame
out
of this
H.
RV is super screwed up now.
H.
That's okay.
I mean, it looks like it has a lot of health.
Alright.
Or
So
am I
yeah,
reading
we're
that
gonna
wrong?
No,
It's all
no, stop.
backwards.
Winch, are you doing
Yeah, we're
something
gonna
to the
go
winch?
all the way down here
Why is the winch not wanting to?
because it's locked. Chi, if you have the remote, hit the R to release the locks on the
Oh.
winches.
Oh, okay. R.
Alright, hold on. I put a thing over here.
Yeah, because
What happens if I push the button while you're holding on to it?
Please don't.
It might drag him. It'll
But
probably
what?
drag 'em.
But what'll happen?
Chi, I literally,
Go
I
drag
want you
him.
to progress the game. Fuck. Oh, she's just pulling us along now.
Oh boy, this is a choice.
So
Well, at least we don't have to worry about the door getting in the way. The door fell off.
I died. Yeah.
I'm gonna sit down
yes,
for
there is
this.
a jar emote. Yes, that is for Ghiga being shoved in the jar, or the cult members being shoved into a jar.
Yeah, here's the winch part.
It's not working.
Alright, hold on, we're gonna back up.
It'll be fine. What's the worst?
We're gonna back up. We're gonna back up. We're gonna back up a little quick.
You're gonna back up with the winch?
Man. Are you still pulling us? I said hold the fuck off!
No, I was back.
Oh.
Pull!
Dear Lord.
Pull!
It's not working.
Oh,
Pull.
It's going!
Pull. Use the force, Luke.
You're
Oh,
actually
dear
supposed
Lord.
to get out of here.
Oh.
there it goes.
Nugget.
That tracks. That
It was
tracks.
so close. We were so
so
close.
close, yet so far.
That absolutely tracks. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
I'm in the
Try not
bushes.
to get hot anymore.
Okay, make sure you hit V so it mutes you in the game.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it has to do it every time we die.
Mine doesn't reset.
It did reset.
No, I promise you, I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you just fine. Just hit V.
it's broken.
Just tap it. Just tap the button.
Taparoo.
Not you, it's just the
Okay.
game.
Is that
Yeah.
still happening?
No, you're good
No,
now.
now we can't hear you. You're all
Oh
good.
wait,
It's just a
what,
glitch.
that was a checkpoint. We just get to go
That's
from
a
here?
bug. Yeah, it's a checkpoint.
Oh yeah, okay, hold on, let me grab the scrap.
Yeah,
that was
it's
over
gonna take
there.
us back to the checkpoint.
Welcome back, Giga.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Alright,
Hey, what
everybody.
Giga's running away.
making sure. Hey, it's all normal and fine and safe here.
Is
I
it
hope
though?
we get 350 followers, so Giga's going to put so much eyeliner. Yeah, so we have the 350 goal on my stream that you get emo Giga if we have 350 followers.
Oh.
So yeah. So far, I've been scaring off people, so my goal is still successful.
So everyone follow Giga.
No.
Do it.
You all
Do
follow
it.
me, it's fine. We're
Do
good.
it.
So what's 400? We put you in
Ah!
the dirt?
We tried that once at
We
one
tried
run.
that. We tried to put him in a maid costume. He just
I
wouldn't
shot
do
it
it.
down.
Aw, that's no fun.
Almost
But
said,
emo
almost
Giga-
said fanboy Giga. It was right there.
Oh, there we go.
Giga, watch out! Giga, watch out!
Somehow you drove right over me and I took no damage.
I'm really good at this.
Wait, somehow I'm
There's a tree right
poisoned
there.
Okay.
again.
Oh, Giga, you should get in because there was a bear over here last time.
Yeah. Make a
Don't
blue
worry,
off
we
top
got
so
bear
the legs won't
spray.
grow.
Wait, do we still have bear spray?
Maybe,
Possibly.
but we could just dodge the bear.
I'm
Everybody in the
in.
No,
vehicle?
We don't have airspray because it
Oh, we
wasn't.
lost
Everybody
it.
get in the car.
Gross. That was gross.
We must have left it at the checkpoint.
That was way grosser than my burps, Red.
That was the point of it, again. Let's go.
You're only 5 away though? No, it's fine, guys. It's fine. We don't need to worry about it. I just a whittle streamer, and it's fine.
Everyone follow Giga. Do it.
Go follow the rest of the awesome people I'm streaming.
Do it or feel my wrath.
And, sorry.
Ow.
That's a bear. That's a bear.
That's the bear tearing it up.
I'm sorry.
Oh
That's the sharp.
no! We
turn.
all got we all got ate by a bear.
What the fuck?
I can't
So,
believe you let
I
us
just got
get
a
ate by
four-
the bear. Oh,
Alt V.
scared.
I have a plan this time. Oh, I found bear spray.
Yeah, there's some in this cabin.
Well, there's some right
Oh.
here.
It's not in the cabin anymore.
Tap V.
Wait. V.
V.
Wait, don't leave me! No!
Red.
Ah. Let's go! They'll never catch me!
No, don't leave
Army
me.
has
I don't know how
Actually,
to.
the bear will just eat you.
No, no.
Well,
no,
I fucked
no,
up the gears. They're gonna catch me.
No, 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 no! Red! Let me back in!
There's only one option we got.
Listen,
No,
I
I'm
know
fucking
I'm kind of
scared.
fat.
No!
Go!
I don't want to get eaten by the bear. Whoa, I got thrown.
Oh, almost got it.
How do you sprint?
Fine. Thanks for-
Freedom, freedom,
oh.
freedom. Ow,
I got the
ow.
winch. I got the winch.
Good, hit him to a tree. We won't be able to go anywhere.
Perfect.
Stop eventually.
And
Ah,
there.
okay. We got yours. Alright.
We stopped him. We stopped him with the winch.
And then you didn't reset it. Get in the RV! Bear!
There.
Get in the RV!
Just go. I'm fine.
Where's the bear?
This is fine, right?
You are very much not fine. The bear is going for your booty hole.
In a booty.
If I don't think about it, get me, right?
I've got the bear chasing. Oh, I'm stuck in the damn bushes.
Ow.
Got the bear chase me.
Alright, I got it.
Oh, there's another bear here. Okay.
Yeah,
keep
that's-
on running.
Oh, Giga, push
Must
V.
run.
Bear's going
bear
for you.
will eat me. Must run. Bear will eat me.
This is unbearable lifeline. That's unnecessary. You brave soul.
Oh god.
I'm bearing the brunt of the damage.
Oh my god, that was so much better than doing that sharp turn. Did you see that shit, Chi?
I totally saw it, I
just ran
think.
off the fucking side. Yeah, I just saw that.
Are my puns unbearable? Oh! Ah! I heard the bear! Where
Oh
is
shit!
he?
Second bear. Second bear.
Do you not remember the second bear conversation?
Mr. Red, a second bear has chased the Wambat.
What about second bear?
Look, there's Poo Rock.
Wambat's in the
What
clear.
about afternoon luncheon?
Are you the luncheon? The man.
That's what I'm about to be. No bear poop. Okay, made it across.
Oh, are you here? Oh, we'll park real quick.
Well, thank you for the follow.
You good?
Welcome on in.
Oh, Giga, push the V button.
So I'm
real
trying to
quick.
fix things.
Did it do it again?
Yeah, it'll do it. I think
We died
it'll do it
again?
every time we reset, I think.
Oh crap! I should have got.
Because we all had to do
We'll
it.
get it when we go in.
I never hear any of your calls because I have VoIP. Wait, I thought I had it zeroed out. No idea. I never hear y'all when you do it.
Giga, you should
Well,
sit
I
so you
don't
don't
see it.
fall
You
out.
do what?
That would be silly.
Yeah, I do die more than y'all.
It's because you don't sit. And
I-
you're gonna
Don't
fall
sit
out.
down.
You're gonna
That's why
fall.
they tell you to put your seatbelt on and everything.
Don't worry about it. I got
Nah.
it. I got it. It's
Just going on vacation with my 3 dads.
It can happen. You're a dad
The
too.
uncles.
I'm not a dad. I'm an anime girl.
I have a
It's not your
vagina.
mother.
I have a vagina.
Aunt. We're a bunch of uncles
Oh, look.
and cheese and on.
Scrap. This is where the
This is
scrap
really
metal
how the
was.
forest started. That would not surprise me at all.
Oh, did y'all see the trailer for the Forest 3? That was good.
A
That is
third one?
so
I ain't
weird.
got no time for that.
It feels
What,
like
in
it
space
should
stuff?
be.
Hey, was there an antidote over there?
I think so. Maybe?
Because I'm still poisoned from the snake.
I just beating the crap out
Are
of
you-
Chi. Sorry.
Can't you? Damn.
Okay, I have a different theory. What
I'm trying to
if
put the roof back on. There we go.
what if we don't?
Ow,
go
I
back?
stabbed myself.
What if you stop being a big wuss?
He's being smart. What do you mean?
Oh, we can go that way.
Oh, we don't want to go this way. Stuff.
No, because
Wait, will I get stuck in the mud if I go over
pull
here?
the RV over it and then
Nah.
pull the RV over the second one as well, right? Like, if we.
Oh.
drop-
I didn't mean to pick that up. What happened?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And she's so my number.
I was trying to
Oh.
get
What did you pick
stuff.
up, Chi?
The one you
Stuff,
think I would have.
things.
Things, stuff. Okay.
Could we just? I mean, once we cross over at once, should we be able to just drive up this with a winch? Maybe.
Maybe. We're gonna find out.
I fixed the engine.
Maybe.
Yay.
To.
Somebody put that motor oil in.
I did.
We already did.
I fixed it already.
Motor- The motor oil that's outside.
was-
Or it's,
Chi was ahead of the
Yeah,
game on that one.
it's an EpiPen. Oh, it says already picked up. Oh, god damn it. Does the winch have a limit?
Yes.
Yes, yes, it does.
I can't attach. Okay, I guess I need to close the winch now then.
You know, the real thing is beer.
Bah.
Bomb.
Beer.
Why are you trying to blow people
All
up, bud?
American beer.
Okay.
Sorry.
I got the beer. Good enough light. What? Is that the name of the brand? Is
Fix the
Good Enough Light?
tires.
Good
Good
enough
enough.
light beer.
So it's Natty. Got it. Natty Light.
Okay, got my emotional support bear spray. I'm ready.
It's Turbo Light. Good enough light beer. Good enough. You don't need to add an age to everything. So yeah.
Turbo light.
I mean, I don't know if I would have put a pin there or not, but
It's
if
fine. It's fine.
it's a-
Trust me, I'm a professional.
Gross.
Sound like Rick all over again.
Wait a minute, watch out!
The least elegant fox girl on the planet.
Yeah.
The
Thank you.
winch is now holding you back.
So, if somebody could unwinch me real quick.
Hang on, let me move the
It's gonna
plank
be
of
sad.
wood.
But I'm gonna need to grab this winch and probably hook it over to
I-
something over here.
I put a winch on the mountaintop over there.
Oh,
Yeah.
can I get it? Can I get it? Back up.
There we go.
I'm short. Hold
No,
on.
to your right. To your right. There's a rock you can jump off of to get it.
Did you jump off of a rock to?
Fuck
be able
yeah,
to
I did.
hook it?
You got
I'm
this.
not as coordinated of a gamer.
What happens if I push the button while he's holding
There
it?
we go.
Oh.
Let me take it out park. Do it. Go. Pull me forward.
Nee.
This
Yeah.
is how this game is supposed to be played, Chad.
Yeah.
There we go.
Keep pulling.
Yeah.
Okay, this area.
Yeah,
kinda
this
sucks,
this
wait.
rock
the
vertical. I
right
don't
there?
think we're going up. Yeah, go right. Back up.
Is there any way? Hold on. Or you said that wrench. Wrench? Check the wrench.
Reset the
wrench.
wrench. We gotta wrench the wrench.
A wrench. A wrench.
Oh, wrench as we.
Oh
roll.
shit.
That might do something if you go to the right.
Where are you
I just
going?
need like. I need like.
We'll
You
set
can
the
go to end of
wrench.
the ravine.
We'll set the wrench. What's set?
Ow.
Check
What's
the
it?
wrench.
Wicka wicka wicka
What's
Hang
wicka.
on, let me see if it.
What's it? What's it? What's it? What's it?
Waka waka waka. That is an option.
I'm a DJ. Wicka
Yes.
wicka wicka.
Ah
Go.
shit.
Oh, crap.
Waka, you Pac-Man?
Not
Yes,
waka
we did
waka.
go.
There's some boards under the tires.
Not Fozzie Bear pun. You goof.
Waka waka waka.
That's as
Oh,
much as I
God.
can go.
It's fine. I can pick up the Waka Waka returns. Yes.
I will say, Miss Piggy was pretty funny. Miss Piggy
Oh.
and Rolf at the Game
Oh,
Awards
we're
last
not
night.
good. Oh, we're good.
Cheap
I'm
fucking
believing
beats
you.
in the song. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Erit. Erit. Erit.
Look at that.
Hey, Rick.
Red's a driver.
Erit.
Ah.
Don't have anything
Let's
to-
go. Good job, Red.
Oh, no, don't need it.
Yeah. Driving in my car right after a beer.
Don't make me
No. Ready? They see.
So
So obnoxious.
And then he crashes it right at the end.
There's a construction site down there. They're excavating.
And
I
then
made
my
it to
parts
Gear
out.
4, new record. Gear 5, we're going places.
I am the
No,
auxiliary.
we're not. I didn't last it.
Oh God,
Not in charge. Just the
All right,
auxiliary.
you're good.
God.
we're sideways and
Yep,
backwards.
there was some scrap down here.
It's okay.
How would we get up? Oh, yeah. No.
There's a barn up there.
I think we can just.
I'm gonna go down with and try.
We wanna-
Where do we go?
I don't know.
Red,
Wait,
stop
isn't there a map?
Hydration, please.
No.
Thank you for the reminder of a drink.
I'm
gonna
already
stop
holding
here
an
just to get
I'm
my-
already
Yeah,
holding
that-
an item. I want to climb that.
Yeah, right.
Brought to you by Dr. Pepper.
I
And
like that
cream soda.
I like cream
Not
soda.
official, but
The
we
only
will
other version
certainly
of
take
Dr.
it.
Pepper I would drink. Wait, do I have a cigarette? I have a cigarette.
Yeah.
You didn't know you could be smoking this whole time?
I did not
Is it-
know.
no.
I don't even know what it does.
Oh shit, Jay, now there's a snake!
It does.
Where?
It makes you run faster for a bit.
Where's the snake? Can I spray it with bear spray?
Ah,
Where
no,
is
it
it?
bit me, but it was a little bit. I got past it.
Where is the
Someone's
snake?
Up here.
Danger Noodle came down here.
Oh, okay.
So
He
wait,
fell
do we have
down?
to winch ourselves up this hill here? Oh, that's fucking
Pretty
awesome.
much.
All right, well, I got one
Who's
of
getting
the
winched?
poles.
The whole RV.
G, pick up a winch pole. G.
Huh?
G.
Huh?
Winch pole.
These are like the
gotta-
size
we
of
gotta-
my body. How are we carrying these?
Oh, great.
Something's wrong with the physics
We
here,
gotta winch
guys.
ourselves.
Uh-oh.
Where am I?
Danger
Now
Noodle.
noticing that?
Danger no. Where do I put this pin thing? Yeah, you made me pick up.
Somewhere near the top of the hill here.
By the
Water, hydrate,
garage?
Drinks, Dr. Pepper. It's fine.
Wait, where are we gonna
No,
where
no,
are we
no,
gonna
no,
climb
no,
up?
I need to get it.
We're gonna climb up right
This
here.
hill right here, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why don't you look at the map? Does the map tell you where to go?
Nice
Maps for
burger.
wusses. Put it down somewhere. We got this shit.
Burger.
How about this tree?
Maybe somewhere lower. Somewhere lower.
Mabs
Like
are
around,
for
like around here.
wusses.
In the ground?
That's
Yeah, in the ground.
that is a phrase.
Like that?
Yep. All right. Yep.
Oh
We have
boy.
a garage here.
Yeah.
No.
Maps are for wusses!
Yes.
Jesus.
And I got burger. Look at that. Burger.
Burger?
Mm.
Hamburger.
I
Yep.
want burger.
Helps with health.
Okay, let me grab.
I
the
like
winch.
burger. Burger.
Well, I ate one, and there's still more burgers
on.
here.
Let me Yui.
What do you mean?
Jack
wait,
Powers
fun?
power pull. Jack Powers power pull.
Frog
Say that
line.
5 times
The
fast.
hell? There we go.
What?
Powers power. Power.
Pow 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 pow.
Okay.
Pow 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 pow. Pow pow. Oh god, there's dead people here.
That sucks for them.
All I see are
Yeah.
dead people.
This is gonna be my a
Okay,
thumbnail
let me
for the
reset
VOD.
winch.
Burger, hardly newer.
Yeah. Oh
Someone needs to
shit.
be operating the winch so Red doesn't.
Oh my
Red,
god, we're about to flip
Yeah.
and die.
Gee, you're the only winch operator we got.
Okay,
Hang
come
on,
on, I'm coming back.
Oh, we might
now
need to
the winch is
reset the
all
winch.
kinds of jacked up. Hold up, hold
Oh,
on.
how did you get in
for
the
a
rock?
second moment. I don't know. It.
Stop pulling the winch. Oh shit. Wrong thing. Hold on. Sorry.
You're gonna fall off backwards.
Mind.
Okay, should be unlocked.
Okay. Winch has been connected.
How's it I can run up this vertical hill? That's
Ah.
crazy.
Connected to the ground somehow, so it's pulling it back. Oh, you're caught
Fine.
in rock. There
We're
you go.
fine. We're fine.
Okay, keep on hitting the winch.
Little more,
I'm pulling.
little more. Keep going.
Push the
Oh
12.
shit. Hold on.
Push.
Follow my
Clip through the front
ears.
of the RV.
Push. I don't think this is doing anything, Chad, but I'm trying.
It's alright.
Hey!
Ah.
Oh,
Okay.
hold on. I'm rolling down the hill with a broken leg.
All right, how do
Have it
I?
released, so see if you grab it and then move it to the next one.
Oh, there we go. I only have one broken leg now.
The one we got up the hill.
I'm going.
Yeah.
To the
Hang
left.
on.
Oh, nope, you're right.
I did it.
Dumb.
Here we go.
Are we stuck by the wrench we already put in the ground out of
We're
curiosity?
probably stuck
or-
on the same
oh,
pin.
Oh, we're good.
Yes.
We're good.
Looks like you're getting there. You're getting there. You should be free from it.
Yeah,
Come
you're
on, pick
good.
This up again. Oh, one time use.
No, it's a one-time use.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's in the way. All right.
Ghiga
Somebody on
missed
Winchester.
most of my puns. Did I?
Are we on
Okay.
winch?
Free
Yep.
from that?
I'm putting on the tree.
Kick it.
No, we're good, we're good.
We don't. We're
Get in there.
good.
Okay.
Red, you're
Feels
rubbing
good
against the
too.
tree.
Hey, I'm
we
still
go.
holding onto it. How do I let go?
Fucking
Just let it
wizard.
go.
There you go.
There you go. Let's
It's on the
reset
floor
this.
now.
Here we go. We made it.
There's the dead
Okay.
people.
Oh.
How do I fix my broken leg?
I'm gonna grab the welding machine to
Eat.
fix the frame, the main health of the.
Oh yeah, how do
RV.
you get health? You eat the nuggets?
You just eat shit.
Or
I don't
burgers?
know. I don't want to eat shit. That's gross.
Burgers or nuggets?
Power pole. Ow. What's a power pole?
Chug. I'm gonna chug a can of nuggets.
There we go.
I love that the eating animation is exactly the same as the getting drunk one.
Oh dear lord.
Chug it! Yeah!
Just
Chug
slurp.
it! Chug it! Chug it!
Everything is a slurp in
In a
the
can open.
future.
All right. Where's a person? I need a person. Ghiga, come here. No questions asked. Look directly at me. Look directly at me. Come here. So close. Get a little closer.
Wait, I'll...
No way.
Okay.
Ah, I'm free. I think that's to flip the truck back.
Alrighty.
I think...
Look at this Jack's power pole. Whoa, it just keeps going.
Oh,
Good for Jack.
Wow. Good for Jack. Dang, Jack.
Damn, Jack. I wish I was Jack.
I think we call
Arise.
Arise. Erect.
Erect. Oh.
What do you wish?
That's very strong.
Whoa, how'd I get up here? Oh, I had uppies. Wait, throw me on the roof over there.
It's fine. It's fine. What's
Ghiga, go on the roof.
Hey,
Put me on the roof. I want to get on there.
Chii, go on the roof. Where's Wambat?
Chii, go down the cliff.
No.
I'm already on the roof. What are you talking about?
No, don't throw me in the
Oh,
hole.
Not that roof.
There's a lake over here.
Tires are
I
good.
don't see.
Oh shit. You know what? I'm just gonna stay down.
The tires are good. We have a spare. I also grabbed. We had one of each type of like mallet, power drill, and winch control. So now we have 2 of each,
So we just need
just
to
in
put
case
this.
we lose one.
Can we throw this jack in the truck?
We throw it on the top?
We
Oh, we already
could,
have
if
it on
it's
the
not-
top.
Yeah,
Oh, we already
if
have
we
it
already
there.
have it on track,
Oh.
we don't need it.
We already have a whole bunch of shit on the top.
Oh.
Like we're
Let's throw that over
stacked.
there then.
We didn't even know it was
Fixer,
there.
Wide pun.
Oh,
Alright,
you're
so-
right. We have like 11. Fix up the place a bit.
Oh yeah, I've been grabbing.
Look, we're only 9 miles to the next exit, guys.
Cool.
That's what the sign says.
All right, I gotta Yui this son of a bitch. So, ooh, we have windows.
Oh, here's a revive station. This is what happens whenever we get to a revive. Where do we go from here?
Oh, is that what the
Right?
dead people are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Revive your friends. I'm not dead
Oh.
yet. I'm just poisoned. For
Excuse
some
me.
reason.
I think we gotta go this
I got
way.
it.
I'm only mostly dead.
I'm gonna do a circle down here.
You roll this thing down the hill.
Not gonna roll that thing down the hill.
Goes down the hill.
What is this down here? Just a little
Famous
campsite?
last words. I think
Oh,
it's-
yeah, I
It
didn't
blows up
even-
from touching the big danger noodle.
We can go see the shit mountain.
Gee,
What?
there you go.
Look
I
great.
think we're good.
Burger.
Burger!
Before
It's okay. I chugged a can
Give it
of
time.
nuggets.
Give it time. Oh, it's fine. There's no need for
Watch
us
out for
to worry
danger
about
noodle.
Where is
All
it?
right,
it. Peter?
everyone get in.
All aboard. It's over there
Right
on the
there.
ground. Oh, new music.
Burger.
Yep.
Right, I got a burger.
I got no music.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah!
What's this?
On the road
Ugly baller.
again. Do 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 do. On the road again. Do 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 do. Something
Dad, are we
something
there
friends.
Are we there yet? Are we?
Shut
there
up!
I
yet?
can't wait to get on the
driving.
road again. Going on vacation with my 3 dads. They're giving me lung cancer with secondhand smoke.
Hey, I've only smoked
They
one.
Plain and owl smoke even more.
The drink. Hey,
It builds character.
Keep bitching and I'll roll these windows up.
what the fuck are we stuck on?
Oh,
Yeah, sorry.
Box this bitch. No.
We're stuck on air. I don't.
yes, we're stuck on air.
Do we go left here?
Look at the map.
Giga.
Giga, you got the
Can you
map.
Look at the map.
Hey, look, there's a map.
Well, okay. How do I go left here?
Yeah, we
Okay.
go left.
I got
it looks
this
like.
shit. I got this shit.
Do you?
Nope.
I'll give you something to get cancer about. Jesus.
A beer. Shit
careful
like
with those
I
bridge.
do.
I'm not sure what's
No. No,
up
it's
there. I don't know if
fine.
even a built bridge.
No, it's totally built bridge. You just gotta trust. I don't
I
trust
didn't realize I
anymore.
was holding
I don't
Giga this whole
trust.
time.
What?
99 bottles of beer
I
on
was
the
holding Giga
wall.
that whole
99
time.
bottles of beer.
Very smart.
Oh, bear! Bear!
Bear's mate, bear!
He's coming for
yeah,
us.
Red.
Bear!
Is it a ramp?
It's a
Yeah, you're gonna have to jump it.
Spray the bear! Spray him!
I
Mitch!
broke one of my legs.
Bear him
What
right
was he
into
standing
me.
behind?
Oh, he
was
ran
that-
off
I
the
sprayed him and
bridge!
he killed- I sprayed him and he killed himself. No!
That's what you get. That's what you get,
All right,
Bear.
I guess I'm ramping it.
99 bottles of beer!
99 bottles of bear. That's great.
Take one down, pass it around. 99 bottles of beer on the
Kill a
wall.
Shit ton of bears.
I'm already across. I kind of leaped to my death and broke an ankle, but I made it.
All
Did
right.
you make it?
Okay.
So here's the thing. Can you shift while doing this, Red?
I don't think you have enough speed.
I
Ah!
got enough speed!
Ah! Where's Keanu Reeves when you need
A whole
him?
bunch, but we're okay.
Yeah! Well, Glee going gear 5. Woo! Who needs Giga?
Okay.
No, he left Giga behind.
Ah, shit.
Ah, tree.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, I
if
turned
you're running
around
through
for a
trees, you
second.
don't think I got ejected. I literally just got ejected.
Just pause the vehicle. We're good.
Yeah.
I have no way to fix
Guys.
that.
We
I don't
don't?
have any scrap. on
You
it.
just
No,
had-
it's fine.
You just had your Keanu Reeves moment.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh wow.
Am I too old?
What the-
Have you seen that movie? You've
No,
seen
we
the
gotta
movie
get off
Speed,
here.
right?
Speed, yeah, we know.
Okay.
I hope we all know Speed here.
Whoa.
Okay, got another obstacle.
Well, that
Oh,
did
okay.
not even was not even.
Okay,
close.
well, you guys do that. I'll fix the tires. Or fall out the window. That's cool too.
That also works.
Oh,
Oh,
Bear!
my-
Not
there's
again!
another-
I can't put down this burger. There we go.
Cease your bear actions. That is uncouth. Silence, bear, for you shall not attack me, you peasant.
I'm throwing my
I just
cigarettes
flicked
at you.
a cigarette at it.
Oh, hold on.
Hot bear on
I didn't
bear.
like that. I didn't like the cigarette.
Here, have
Hey,
a board.
bitch.
Is
Oh,
the
God,
bear
it counts.
is the bear frozen? What's happening?
Oh, I've tamed the bear apparently. Bow down. Does anybody
Yeah.
have bear spray? I think we have another can in the thing.
We do.
Yeah, I think you have another one in there.
There's another one.
There is some scrap down here I've picked up.
The
Some
bear's
things as
the bear
scrap.
moved. The bear changed targets. I don't know where it's going.
Away.
The bear fucked off.
Hey, I'm okay with
Giga, how
that.
many times do
I
have
don't
to
know
tell
where
you
it
to
went.
call me Papa? I'm sorry, I usually default to the first name that is a part of the title. So yes, I
your word.
default. Okay, we're over the first one. Then we got the second.
No,
pile.
you gotta go better with it. You gotta be like stuppo. Just get the middle. Stupoo.
He couldn't bear waiting any longer.
Ah, okay, so
Ah.
this what? It's just part of it looks.
Yeah, there's a tire down there. I picked up some scrap, so we can actually repair the thing now. Oh, looks like you already got fixed.
Okay, so I gotta get over the first gas. So, oh my God, who is driving? You took the parking brake off. What are you doing? Oh my God! Ah!
We're gonna die.
As it goes, nothing. Wee.
I sit.
It says in my first gear, but it's not going at all.
Wambat. Wambat.
You might want to put it in reverse. You are sliding off the edge.
Reverse.
Okay.
Wambat. I don't know how to tell you this. You missed.
You're gonna need a winch.
Oh,
Alright,
it's that
You are now hung up.
you turned
I'll
the
get by.
thing off. Okay.
Yeah, of course. I turned it up. Yeah. Ah! Okay.
Yeah, let me fix these.
Okay. I didn't realize the engine
Well-
was off this whole time. That's what the
Yeah, I
issue
turned
was.
it off. It's an engine. You turn it off.
It was off the whole
Yeah,
time.
try to run out of gas.
Aim for me.
This is bound to be or me. That works too.
Wrong
We're
target.
hung up in the middle again.
We
Oh
are.
yeah, we're just resting in the middle.
I'm a little scared.
That's
I'm a little,
fine.
I'm a- for some reason, I'm more scared with Wambat driving than I was with Red.
Sorry.
Red's had the most practice so far, so
Maybe that's why.
If you mean practice, you mean never driving a manual in my life. You got it.
I think you're just you're just a
Do
gamer.
we have any?
I think I'm just a natural driver.
I'll pick up this wooden.
I wish I could
Yeah,
say that
kinda-
about myself.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about the later half. As long as we just get.
Oh yeah, as
them
we get on, we should be good.
Wait, are those too close together or no?
Can I
Is
attach
there
it
a
to
tree
itself?
further out?
How do I?
Wait, you just need to attach it to the tree. You don't.
Oh, I
have to-
attach it to the tree. Okay, word. That's fine. Cheat. Use the remote.
Use the remote? Okay.
Hey, remote.
Okay, interesting move. Oh, this is an option.
What the hell are you doing with the wood here? What is this shit?
It's called a plug.
Oh. Oh, okay. You just gotta fucking gun it the second she starts pulling.
All right, ready? 1,
Okay.
2, 3.
Got it. Just keep gunning it. She stop pulling. Keep gunning it. Yeah.
Yeah, teamwork. Let's go.
Stop. Ah, I go bend my bones.
Yay!
And over red. Okay.
Alright.
All aboard.
Hello, friends.
Can't close the door. There's one more door.
Yeah, there's no door. That's why you gotta just sit and hope you don't fall out the door.
Nothing to worry about.
Okay.
Where are we going? Let's go follow the road for now.
Oh, we'll pull over all right.
It's gonna be to our right. Yes, down here.
Oh no, what's at the bottom? of the
Lake.
cliff?
Alright.
Are we gonna drown?
Hopefully.
Yep. You got it.
No, we'll take a sharp right along the lake after we take a left.
Hi-
and then-
What?
Hi,
the
Yeah,
shit?
we're gonna be
Bex.
hugging it to the right.
Bex,
Hey,
hey,
Bex, how's it
guys,
going?
Okay.
Bex is here, guys. That's a
How
river.
you doing, Bex?
Oh,
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, that was a
That's why we
tree.
can't have nice things.
I mean, I say sorry, but this shit is fucking tough to drive.
Can we pull over? Yeah, no. No.
We're gonna, when I find a flatter spot, we'll take
Tree.
5. Fuck.
Oh no, stuck.
Stuck.
Do we need to winch the front of it to the side?
Stuck, no.
Oh,
We're not
oh.
stuck.
Oh, he's free.
I'm a wizard.
Yay,
I'm
there
a
we go.
fucking driving wizard.
You're a wizard, hoodie
moose?
bear.
Now you're
Oh,
in
that's
there.
a moose.
There's so many.
I ran over a
Pick
moose.
up a- guys, I can carry a
Checkpoint,
moose.
checkpoint. Just keep going. Just keep
I
going.
can carry a moose.
Checkpoint.
Yay!
There's the moose.
Checkpoint.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody.
Behind me,
Careful.
and I'm
Oh,
carrying a moose.
Oh my god.
a bear.
Hit him with the moose.
Oh, it's chasing. Okay.
I got bear spray.
It's over.
Ah, ah.
Ow.
Those are some weird looking dogs. I'm
Wait.
carrying a moose.
I sprayed him and he ran away.
Moose. Hey, Swuffy.
Sophie the hero is here.
Welcome,
Oh,
Squirty.
okay. Oh, this is cool. Oh, we just gotta get the RV on this thing. We just sail it across.
We're going on a ride?
Yeah, look
Going on a trip on my favorite rocket ship.
Okay, is there any supplies in the location first?
You just threw that moose in the river.
He can swim.
Sucks for the
You're
moose.
like a Superman. How'd you do
Moose
that?
man. Capable of
Moose.
throwing one moose into the lake.
Lake. Moose.
Okay, well,
Actually,
and
it's
just,
a
like, stuck.
river.
There we go.
It has a current.
As we're all trying to
Keep,
work our way through.
we keep flipping through each other.
Chuckets will make you reach Huggy Gate. What?
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 That's Fluffy's saying.
What?
How do I throw this? There we go.
Put it up here. Ow.
Get out of my way, sucker. Oh, we're out of
We don't
stuff.
have any scrap. How are you fixing something?
I fixed something and then it didn't let me fix anything after that.
Can I put more winch poles on here?
Thanks for the lurk, Swuffy.
Man, you think that'd be awesome.
We have 2 ramps, a tire, a flipatronic, and a power jack device, and 1 winch pole up here.
Where are you guys at? Oh, there you
I'm
are.
on top.
Tiger.
Thanks for stuff.
That's what she said.
Oh, it's a third winch pull control. We don't need that. Just toss that out to the side.
You got this, Rez.
Second number 4. Let me drink some cold coffee.
I'm more of a Mambo
I got
number 5. But,
Mambo number
Turn one.
5.
Everybody,
Oh,
got it? Just hold it.
Yeah,
Just
I got
hold
it.
it.
The RV isn't moving with.
The RV's moving.
Did someone not put on the parking brake?
No, it's going. It's going. It's going. It
Okay.
just, it's just silly. It's
It just
silly.
glitched.
Oh, okay. I was gonna like, what the hell is going on? I was feeling like
Silly little
it's
guy.
just gonna like.
Let's go.
Keep
Keep
roll
holding.
right on out.
This is what you proclaimed. Hardly knew.
Wait a minute.
Sorry, my hand moved.
It's the right time to
Alright,
rock the
almost there.
night. Ah!
Somehow I glitched through.
Alright, we're off.
Okay.
Okay, we're on other things. Okay. Yay!
Yay, we're to the other guy.
Actually, wait, no, that was butt.
Ouch! Just got
Oh, we got-
beat.
I fixed
We got the
it.
stuff.
And she's just beating everybody.
I fixed it!
I'm being beat.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. I need to consume my driving beverage. Wait, hold on.
Whatever
It's
you say,
moonshine.
You want
Pat.
a beer?
Do we have any more snacks in this place?
I like snacks.
Snacks
Oh,
are
I
good.
love myself some gold moonshine. Let's go.
Dear Lord, I am just sliding and clipping.
Annie, I support women's wrongs. Wow.
Whoa.
If you support the rights, you have to support the norms. It's
What
only
if women
fair.
are never wrong?
Are you married?
I play the fifth.
I got
They're
some.
wrong. They're very wrong.
You guys are lucky I'm not paying
Ooh,
attention
Beck's
to what
got
you're
some
saying.
sun chips. Hell yeah.
I can hear the bag tone from me.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
need
it's
you
true.
guys
Sun chips
to
bags
focus
are
on this
just so
fucking
fucking
kill.
loud.
I'm scaling. Oh my god, I'm a mountain goat in this thing.
I got spicy dill pickle chips.
That sounds.
I've got actual pickles in my fridge.
I mean, me too.
I have pickles in my fridge too.
I don't
Oh,
like
that's
pickles.
Beers, maybe? I don't know what.
Yeah, the spirit.
Why does it just say death on that sign? Alright, no stopping until. Wait.
Hey, well,
Would you go left or right? Hold
well,
on, I got the map.
Let's take a look real quick before you just run out there.
Look at the map.
We
Can you tell?
go Right.
I think map.
Oh, thank god, we're about one left. Let's go. Oh, shit!
Oh, there's a house.
There's a landmine! Fucking-
Well,
What?
Now we know why.
There's a lot
death.
of landmines. I saw another. There's one in the middle of the woods.
Okay,
Oh,
we could
found a
go
hat.
left and circle
Thanks,
back around
Les,
to
for the
right as
blinkies.
well. That is an option.
And the jinkies.
Or we
I
could avoid
found
the
2
land.
hats and 2 sunglasses for your collection.
Oh, I
really
want
have a-
sunglasses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's in
where
the
are
house.
they?
So if you take
They're
a
like-
left instead of a right,
Are you
you'll see
always
the
right
house.
is the question.
Alright, hold on.
There's a house?
To the
Yeah,
left.
it's a little cabin house.
There is a house.
Yes, Christmas blankies.
Do we keep
And
going left?
and beer, yeah,
Oh.
and beer and a epic
Actually,
pen and more.
I need to get my
I
I
don't-
need to get my Christmas hat
Hold on.
out one of these
I'm
days.
gonna stop right here. So
Want to be married? I'm content on never being married. Oh, look
If I
at
find the right person. I'm all good if I find the right
would
person.
rather eat a brick.
I wish I.
Uh,
You know what? I'm not gonna say. Never mind. We just don't need what I'm gonna say in this world.
Were you about to also say brick? Just a different lettering in the front.
You know what's better than being married? Being divorced.
Let's go!
Hey!
Yeah! That was the proper response. Hey, I found an
All
antidote.
the
Who
freedoms
needs
of
to be?
being
Gee,
single
you needed
with
this
already having
antidote, right?
the marriage.
Pun is like,
having on
"Gee,
your
preach."
checklist.
yeah. If
Gee,
you
where
could
you
just
at?
get out of a
Right here.
situation-
Oh, I don't. I already took one earlier. I'm good.
Oh,
I'm actually
is it?
all free as well.
Wait, I thought there was hats and
sunglasses.
sunglasses. Where
Yeah,
are
I'm
they?
a
I'm a
little
little
bit
poison.
poison, but it's
Right
not
here.
like it's gonna do anything.
Well, I think
Oh.
yeah, I'm all unpoisoned. I got bear spray, so I'm gonna throw this in the designated bear spray attached to shelf.
compartment.
There we go.
Ooh,
Punch
ooh,
bowl.
Bear space.
This
Hey.
doesn't go anywhere.
Okay.
Open.
Hey,
We have a disposable grill. We could have been cooking
Hey.
things.
Yeah.
is that? Hey
That's the
guys,
What?
does
Where you
that?
at,
Does
Red?
this over here look a little
Where are you?
suspicious?
Oh.
Does anybody? I just can't
Oh.
help but feel this might be relevant soon, considering we're going up the hill that direction. And there looks to be a path
Oh.
over there.
That looks like a natural
All
monument
right,
to me. I think it's
everybody
fine.
get in. We'll go for a ride.
You know what? That sounds
Oh
like fun.
no,
It looks
I'm
like
so
fun.
afraid.
Oh,
The
don't be
Golden Rainbow
scared.
was- My man, I had to figure out if y'all were talking about marriage or poison for a second. Depends
What's the
on how it
difference?
went. Depends on how it went.
It's the
Oh, I like
same.
these glasses.
I mean, it depends on it. Are you talking about physical destruction
not in the
or
car.
just financial destruction?
How do I honk?
Different. That's the lights. That's the brakes. Can you just press
Okay.
the honk button?
See a
When
honk
we,
button.
when we walk ahead,
It looks
we
like
see where the
fun.
It's left click.
landmines are.
We going
I
in
feel dumb
reverse?
Honk,
Now we're going right.
No, you
Polygamy
just
is
need to
a
go
goal?
over
I
here.
don't think
honk,
that-
honk,
Is that legal in the U.S.?
honk,
Is
honk.
it legal in the U.S.?
What is?
What
Uh,
is what legal?
I don't know. I think maybe Utah. Polygamy.
That was one start to Utah.
I think only in Utah. Yeah.
Landmine right here.
Actually, I don't even know if it's actually technically legal federally.
Okay.
Do we have
Okay.
Alright, hold
something
on.
we can throw down on it?
Let's. I mean, there's
Or we
plenty
could
of
just-
planks here.
For tax
There you
I
go.
reasons.
think we built an elevator. Oh
Ah!
shit!
What was that?
Nice job.
Why did it blow
I'll
up?
tell you,
We set off the
I threw a
landmine.
blink on it.
Oh,
Oh,
Okay.
this is gonna be all kinds of fun, isn't it?
So do we build an elevator to stand on? Because that's us.
Yep.
Yes.
oh.
Okay.
I'll supervise.
Oh, no, they don't go
I
far
think
enough.
we have to start with.
You guys
an
are doing
It
it.
needs to be from the side.
You guys are doing a great job. Keep at it.
the
Oh, we
side.
have to do it from the
Thank you.
side. Oh, now I just.
Oh wait, I gotta get
I
my
thought it was
Got
a
it.
square.
my
It's a
supervisor
rectangle.
look
I
ready.
thought we were gonna have to like drop 4 at once and some
Uh-huh.
crazy shit and use like
The
some crazy
rectangle goes in the square hole.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job.
Everything
You
goes
just
in
keep
the-
laying those
yeah,
boards down.
everything-
Good job. Yeah. Looks good.
Thanks, 'cause I have
Supervisor
no
Chi.
idea what I'm-
Looking good,
What?
guys. Nice.
Straighten
nice
your
work.
line. Straighten your
Good
plank.
job.
Bruh.
Get a
I'm
haircut,
trying.
hippie!
This is so hard.
Alright, you calm down. Alright, I thought I was the one who was drinking. What the
I'm not drinking anything, so problem. Maybe I need to grab something.
The RV will fix it.
I should be having a glass of wine right now. What's wrong with me?
I mean, yeah.
The game led you to that far.
Alright, make sure I don't want to go too far forward. So tell me when I would look good.
Jump.
Okay. And
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
And-
keep going.
and
Go.
stop. That's fine enough.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a little.
If I go too far forward, I'll clip the top up there and I
We
just
going
get scared
uppies?
about.
Did everyone get out? Someone has to get in and drive it off.
I'm
Oh,
in.
no. Well, we need
I'm
to
in
bring
here
the
still.
back wheels are now off the platform.
Wait, how do I drive?
Gee, drive forward.
I don't know. I can't get in this. How do I get in the seat? Oh, here we go.
Oh,
no, it's falling. What?
What?
What? Why are we coming down?
Good night.
Night, Les. I love
Okay.
you.
Pull it forward a little bit more. Everyone else get on and I'll press
You gotta turn on the engine, take it off park, put it in gear 1, and tippy tap.
Okay, how do I turn on the engine?
Yeah, you gotta do everything.
What?
R.
Oh, R. Toggle engine.
Yeah,
R. Okay,
Right,
engine
and
is
then-
started.
And then you gotta put it in gear 1. It might be in park. Is it in
Press
park? If it's in park, hit
clutch.
G.
Oh Jesus, this is way too complicated. Okay.
Normally.
Why is
He's
this like
out.
this? How
Hey,
do I
man.
shift?
You didn't have to actually do clutch since
Toggle
original
park.
driver's ed.
Okay. Okay, I'm in first gear. I'm ready.
Well, you're weird, so okay.
Okay.
Just tap it forward.
Wow.
Yeah, just push it
Tap.
forward a little bit.
Yeah.
A little
A
bit
little more. Oh, a little more.
More.
Keep
Go
going.
more.
Keep
Go
going.
more.
It won't go any further. It just
It
keeps
keeps rolling
bouncing back.
backward.
Yeah.
Hold
Yeah,
hold
a little
W
more.
longer.
There you go. Oh, too far. Too far.
Oh no, it's the
Back
drive
forward.
all over again.
So what you gotta do is you gotta put it in
Hit Q
reverse.
to put it in reverse.
Q for reverse a little bit,
Wait, how do I go in reverse?
and then hold W. If it's in reverse, hold W still.
No, how do I get in reverse?
Oh, hold Q.
Oh,
Clutch.
Q,
Clutch.
right?
Okay, and how do I go into reverse? How do I
You
shift?
gotta
Just
move it a little
W.
down to the right and down. You gotta
Oh,
move
with the mouse. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then hold W to reverse.
Yeah, Shank,
Alright.
it just works.
Okay,
Like Todd
okay,
Howard,
okay.
and then anything else
Yeah,
comes
that's
Is that
fine,
back
just-
far enough to go up?
I think it's fine.
I think it might
G.
flip just a wee bit.
Oh, the back tires are now off because we've lost a board.
That's
fine.
okay.
Try to drive it forward. Oh no, we just lost another. We just lost. Hey, if you're up there, grab
Well,
it.
hey,
Switch-
wait,
Wait, I'm in
winch it.
first gear. It's
Yeah,
not
go winch
going. I'm
I'm
stuck.
trying to
Because
winch it.
The whole bus
There's
is
the-
hanging only by its front tires.
Hold
Yeah.
on. Oh, I don't know if I can get back up. Hold on. I need to like steal a plank to get back up. Hold on. This is gonna be fucking Mission Impossible. What the heck?
Dun dun dun
Oh,
dun
it's
dun
dun,
dun
dun,
dun
dun,
dun dun dun. Dun.
We're hitting copyright.
All right.
You can only do so many notes.
Keep going, guys. You got.
Ah!
You got. We have lost every.
Just
single
drag
plank.
it. Just drag it.
Just drag it out.
God.
We have lost every single plank.
Are we off?
Okay, wait.
We're off.
Oh,
Yeah,
off,
we're
off.
good.
Up there.
We just gotta get ourselves down.
All right, it's in park.
Or up there.
I don't want to drive anymore. This is too hard.
All right. You can get off if you don't want to drive anymore.
How do I get off?
We don't even
E
need the board.
E
Oh, gross.
E. No E.
Oh, God.
Fucking honk it over.
Okay, okay,
That
okay,
button won't
okay.
send you to certain doom.
We are sideways.
Oh, oh,
We are
A
so
little bit, yeah.
sideways. We're so
I got it.
incredibly sideways. Okay, nice. Good job.
Do we have anything to repair the thing with? Because
Nope.
Yeah, we got
any
4.
panels.
So we might need to find some scrap.
Yeah, we need to find some
Looks
scrap.
like we've made it.
Good,
Red,
we're
pick me
great.
up.
Sorry, Richie.
Ow! Ow!
Damn it.
Son
I'm
of a
trying to
bitch.
get the window.
That was for your driving.
There we go.
That's fair. I'll take it. I'll take the
I
punishment.
mean, I would launch
Ow!
the thing off far worse. So. Where are we going?
Okay. Well, I know where we're
Ah!
going, but there's a little pit stop, so we're gonna just.
What is that nonsense?
Did you just fly out the back? She fell out the back.
Well, no! Oh hell yeah! Hold on. Fuck.
Oh,
I made it.
red.
That is
Yeah,
not
you
a-
go get that.
Is
That's
that a watermelon?
Don't. If you
It's a
fall,
watermelon hat.
Look at Red showing off his gamer
You do it,
skills.
Red.
Yeah, so you forgot I'm a gamer. I got.
Uh-huh.
Looked like you
I'm a
almost fell.
gamer, and he just falls.
I got
the fuck
lotion.
off.
Catch. Fuck.
Iron
Oh,
this time.
actually, no. Wait, Wambat, go down that hill. Turn around. No, turn around. Go down the hill. Look.
Oh yeah, I see some scrap right there.
Here,
I
it's got.
threw my cigarette down here.
What's
Melon
up?
man. Wood strip, strip.
I'll
to
just
wood,
go ahead and
it's
use this
fine.
antidote.
It's fine.
Okay,
Only-
I'm
it's
gonna-
okay.
Catch. Nice. Watermelon had a chief.
Eat your
Watermelon hat.
Okay.
Now
I'm
make
a
it
gamer.
back.
People
Here's
use
the main
pancake,
one.
but I use watermelon.
And, how do I get back, actually? That's too high.
I'm betting you actually need to go to the other side. Oh well. Hang on. Let me walk down here and see what's the easier.
I use watermelon.
Yeah, no, yeah, I didn't realize this was a one-way fucking trip.
Yeah, that kind of looks like a one-way fucking trip.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
How about this?
Um,
How about this?
Can you catch me?
Can you jump
Oh.
to me?
Chiba.
Catch me! Oh my
Gotcha.
God. Let's go!
They just
You
caught
guys
him like
have
in
to
Dirty
know.
Dancing.
Bottom of the night.
And
Hey, so
I
you're
had
catching
the
bots
time of
on,
my
on
life.
everybody's chat, so you were banning them on my
Is it-
side, but it is popping in through other people's.
Okay.
Pun, you want power in my chat? No.
Surrey bot's banning him.
Yeah,
I got a
I
Perkins
have a- I have a
around. That's about
unbot
it.
on my side to ban them on mine.
That's
Yeah.
probably mine. I'm sorry. I keep still getting the pots
Eh.
every so often.
Everybody that's
Happens all
our
over.
size does, yeah. I get them at least one a stream.
Right.
Okay.
Hey, would you like to cheat? Here's all the bot stuff, so we can steal your information, your money, and then not give you all these.
Here's
Nobody wants the watermelon hat?
Oh no, I'm putting it on right now. It's just.
Oh, there
it's
you
leaving
go.
it
Hell
plugged in.
yeah,
Put it on.
I like it.
Where are you?
I'll
Red?
take the visor.
I'm
I
in
think-
I'm in the bathroom because you can
Just
just
throw
change it in
cigarette
the
at
bathroom.
cheese feet foot.
Oh.
Help me up.
Not etchy. Let's not get me in trouble.
Man, I wonder what that lotion was for. Man.
What,
Alright, anyway.
wouldn't you like to know?
You want to know
Ow.
what the lotion's for? You're gonna take the lotion in the bathroom? Is that what you're doing, Red?
Oh, absolutely. You know what's up. So what's this house over here? Did you everybody forget about the house? Or no
There's
one
a
see it?
house?
Yeah, there's a house over here. No one see it?
Where?
Okay, Red.
Holy shit! There's a
Oh.
bunch of shit in here.
Yeah, there's a whole house
Yeah.
over here, guys.
Yeah.
I think that's a ramp.
Oh,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah, it's totally a ramp.
Are you having a
Right now, I'm
barbecue?
cooking burgers. Yeah, dude, we're having burbs.
This
Okay,
is a
once I learn how to
Yeah.
burgers, Rick. Okay.
This is
Oh, I'm
gonna
out
be
of
a tragedy
burgers.
Meat
waiting to
patty.
happen.
Oh, there's more scrap in here.
Oh, it's like grilling.
Hell yeah.
Although I would say, considering
Oh,
that I didn't
shit.
own this
Sorry,
game
I didn't
before
mean
this,
to.
And this is the first time I've actually played it.
Mhm.
Red, your driving skills have gotten us much further than I have seen most people get in golf
Right?
hours. I have seen streams of this go so terribly wrong. And this
Oh,
is
it
actually
gets-
Oh.
progress.
Here's some burgers. They
You're gonna
cooked
have
and went
so
over
much
here.
fun later. It's gonna get worse.
Oh yeah, but
You
I've
want-
seen people like.
Oh,
not even
shit,
be able to
look
get
at the
that
birds, they're
ramp
flying.
Thing. Like the.
You got
like,
8 burgers are up.
Burger!
Burgers
Yeah.
are up.
gals. I can't climb the steps. There we go. And I guess, where you
If
all
somebody, oh, I found
Down
one.
down the ramp.
other side.
Well, down
I
the.
ate the burger.
at? Hamburger. I don't
Hamburger.
need to eat the
Burger.
hamburger because I
Bah!
have full health. So.
There's
Did you
another
just
tape
throw
in
that
here.
Into the...
Yeah, but
Why
it's
are there
called
so many
immersion.
meat
Giga.
patties on the floor?
Because they're really hard to aim out of the pack. So it's kind of.
you're just
They're hard to
throw
aim.
them all on the ground. It's whoa,
Oh,
whoa.
yeah,
They
that's how
just
the
pop into
burgers
a
go.
full-on
Yep.
burger.
Oh shit.
Yes, they
What?
do. It's so good.
Oh shit.
Bah.
I love the fact they just turn into full-on hamburgers.
Bah.
This one, this one's just burger. Ball.
Bah.
Oh, god damn it.
Burger on the floor.
All right.
It builds character. It's fine.
The dirt builds character.
Giga.
The dirt on the burger.
Giga. Bah.
Huh?
Bah.
Thanks for the burger.
Bah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's a tape.
Yeah, I don't know what else is in here. I was just.
Just threw it at your crotch, apparently. Ah! Wait, where'd it go? Oh.
What are you throwing at crotches?
Alright.
Ball.
Enough of
Bah.
And then it starts like a forest fire.
that. Yeah. Right.
Bah.
What?
Just look. You just toss it out there and go,
Fucking-
fuck you.
Get this
Smokey."
fucking ball out of here.
No!
Oh, I'm kidding.
Are you trying to
Mine.
360 no scope that and just
My
throw it
ball.
back at the
Nah,
one behind
I was
you?
just baiting cheese.
Don't worry, we'll
Here,
No,
have a
no,
we'll
copy.
get you.
no,
We'll get
Release
you
the
back.
ball.
Just throw
No,
it over
Release
there.
the ball.
No.
Release the ball.
Put it down.
Release the ball.
I don't want the uppies. No. Ah. Ah.
Oh, you almost went off
Owie.
the cliff. You almost went off.
I almost went over the fence.
Get some
I'm the
quarters.
king of the castle.
Floor burgers.
I need a floor burger now. Where they all
Burgers.
go?
Oh, we anyway,
No,
get in the RV.
I got a broken bone and no food.
No more floor.
You son of a bitch.
I'll have to watch at some point. Which one are Onward? I have no idea.
Son of a bitch.
Oh my god.
Oi, oi.
Ow! I can't jump because my leg's broken.
Okay.
Ever get in the car?
Fucking-
Everybody get seated.
Cracked my
This is gonna
ankles
be-
and shit.
This is going to be a
Gee,
tragedy
you wanna
waiting
sit?
to happen.
I need
And
food.
welcome, chat. We
I'm
are
hurt.
At the point.
All right,
in
let's
time
do this.
where
Relax.
You know how to shift gears.
Not really.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Keep on
Oh,
shifting 'em.
we're all gonna die.
Well, light them up.
There we go.
I want a hippopotamus for
Oh,
Christmas. Oh!
Nailed it.
Hey!
Oh
Don't
shit.
go
Oh
backwards.
shit.
Don't go
Don't
backwards.
go back. Hold on.
Oh my
We
god.
lost everything, but we made it. So it's still.
I
in.
think that's why there's all
And
this
we made
scrap
the
here.
checkpoint.
Checkpoint.
Look at all
Hippopotamus for
that scrap.
We made it,
Christmas.
chat.
Only a
Bird, yeah.
hippopotamus will
Yeah,
do.
Holy.
I more bergs, more scrap.
And
I need bergs.
Hey, new cassette, new
I got
cassette.
beer.
I fixed the engine. Where's
Looks like
bergs?
Tires are a little weak, but not bad.
Bergs.
Okay,
Do we
frame
have
is
grill?
repaired.
Why do these burgers look like a bologna?
We have so much beer.
Those are patties.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
because
but
that's important shit.
but it looks like it's in a bologna container.
Well,
It
it's not
is in
an
a bologna
antidote.
container. even
I
though
like
it's
fried bologna
burgers.
burgers.
I'll take a fried.
Ah, there it
bologna.
is.
They're also reduced price, manager special.
So they're almost expired. Got it.
Right, we better eat them. Where's the grill? Don't we have one on board?
Yeah, somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Whoa,
Controller,
so much beer.
four tires.
There it is. Grill.
Oh my god, the beer.
Where's
Grab-
this one little speck up? There it is.
Grab the
Oh,
grill.
I'm sorry. Did you want?
It's right
did you want
there.
a burger?
Yeah.
All right. What's that? Do we have a table
Look,
out
there's
here? So
tire.
we're not heathens? No. Okay. Floor burger.
No, we're heathens.
Okay, what do we have? Do we have anything else we need? Okay, I guess
Release
we'll just start
burger.
preparing.
Okay,
I
I
guess
got
we
it.
need
Repair.
Oh, we don't have any scrap.
Here you go.
do we,
Oh,
to be
okay.
able to
Yes, we
fix
do.
all
We
the
have 6.
panels? Oh, nice. So
Litter.
we can put the
Can't
panels
fix all of
back on
them.
So we can lose them again. Hydrate. Thank you for the hydrate.
Yeet.
How do I? Why can't I do
Even
it?
better. Ah!
Released burger.
What?
Look
Oh,
up a bit more than you are.
I did it. Burger. I eat it.
I'm recollecting the bird.
Nom nom nom.
This is a cheese. Oh no, it's just a classic burger, but it has cheese on it. Do all burgers have cheese?
No, the name
No,
and the
not all of
burger
them.
it
It's
is are
kinda random.
totally random. Yeah. That's really funny though.
Absolute taste.
Wait.
Right.
Oh.
Everybody gets a
Hell
bird.
Yeah, I had burger. I'm all better now. Apparently, burger makes broken bone better.
Yep, and so does nuggets.
Burger makes broken bone better. So
Yeah.
Benny bought a bit of better broken bone.
So if
and
you
just-
ever break a bone, kids, just go to McDonald's. You'll be fine.
That's what I will tell myself.
Yeah, you
from
can
this
get
point
chicken
on.
nuggets
Go to the
or a
doctor.
burger.
No.
Dang, I kind of have a craving
So-
for a burger now.
Wait, where are
I
we?
have
Oh, are we
hamburgers
down
in the freezer.
there? Does that mean we have
I
to
can have a
go?
hamburger and
that?
I'll even throw it in
That?
on the floor just to get the full experience.
I don't even know where we're going. I don't
It's
know
over
where
here.
we're going.
I think we're going this way.
Yeah, we're just gonna
There's a
follow the
road over
path.
here.
All right, get in or get left behind.
I'm in,
Hang on.
Papa.
Oh, there's a bunch of wall crawling. I'm on my way. And I'm on my way.
On my way. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
There we go.
Something
Alright.
Everyone's got their beer. I'll fill it up in their little koozie areas.
Oh, you better hang to the left. Otherwise,
We're
we
fine.
go
I've
down.
climbed worse than this already, and y'all weren't even paying attention. It's like,
And
That
they
going too?
say a hero will save us. No.
That's
Not gonna stand here and wait.
And I'm free falling. Oh, wait, that's.
That's
wait,
probably
so do we
more
go to
likely
the
to
right or
happen.
go to the left?
We
I
wanna
know
go
it says
Route
to the right.
65.
But the left looks cool. Right.
The left
Pretty
is
sure
probably
one of our
nothing.
tires was hanging off the cliff there, but
That happened.
Papa Red, I'm scared.
It's okay.
Open window.
I've been in the mountains driving.
Oh.
Well, my parents were driving when I was younger. And
We have
our
windows?
brakes overheated. Yeah, that was scary.
That happened to me when I moved to Arizona. I was driving my
Ah, you
1998.
smoke a cigarette and drive. Y'all are fuck?
I was driving my 1998 Grand Dam and it overheated going up the mountains.
Yeah.
Then every time I'd go downhill, it would cool the engine up.
Did you look at the? Do you look at the vehicle while you're doing that and go, yeah, damn, actually pretty much says this whole the car.
Yep.
Yep. This was.
Oh, yeah.
A big.
Yeah,
98 Grand Dam GT, baby.
the Grand Dam. We were in Salt Lake City in the mountains around it. So yeah, that
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah,
No,
this
so
was
I was
this
in
was
Cabo
North
San
Phoenix.
Lucas, and it was part of the little tour ride. You had to go on this like bus to get to like the zip lines and everything. This guy was going like 90 around like the mountain turns. I'm like, we're gonna die. I'm not even gonna make
Between
it.
that guardrail and this road is a
Oh.
cliff.
Oh, you think there was guardrails? Remember, I was in Mexico.
I saw
we're
some.
we're still rolling.
Whoa,
Red.
whoa, whoa,
We're
whoa,
still
whoa,
rolling.
whoa. I'm sorry. It was on me. My bad. My bad.
Make sure you engage.
I
with parking
sometimes. No, sometimes you can change gears in park, and sometimes you
brake. Oh,
can't.
so much scrap over here.
And so I was banking on it
Hell yeah.
not changing while in park. It did, and I didn't realize. It's 50-50 there.
To our
So-
deaths.
Yeah,
That looks-
I almost.
that looks real scary down
All
here.
right,
Ah!
G, time for an adventure.
We're playing over there,
Yay.
Red. We have a great crew. Red has kept us all alive longer than I expected.
Except for when he broke my leg a few minutes ago.
I broke everybody's
You're
legs.
fine. You ate a florger and it
A
healed.
burger.
Burger.
Floor burger.
Everyone in the car, unless you like being
How's
left behind.
How's everything been?
Oh, can I get a mirror? Can I request a?
Next scrap run, I can make sure you get a mirror.
Alright, word.
Sit.
Okay, upside
Everyone
down
in?
again.
Okay.
Oh,
Good
this
to go.
is Ziggy's Agapath. Florger.
Yeah, it's fine.
But yes, thank you for joining.
We're gonna do it fast. We're gonna go at it fast too. Here we go. No
Excuse me.
regrets.
No
You
regrets.
know what? Actually, we're gonna go slow. You know
Regrets
what? All of a
everywhere.
sudden, we're gonna go slow.
On the other hand,
Regrets means living.
Oh, oh, oh.
Just
Florgers.
gonna regurts all over the floor.
Oh no! Don't regrets all over the floor. My cat did that earlier.
Oh,
no.
can't see.
I think I did that in my pants earlier.
Ew.
Yeah, some
this
of
is
the choices you
to the
made would
right.
probably make regurts. in your
It's to the
pants.
right. You don't fucking say.
I mean, you can go to the left and see what happens, but your guess.
I
is
ain't got
mine.
no left.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
You might want to
Alright,
back
hold
up a bit.
How do we? Can we? I have an idea. All right.
You got this.
we do have a pen.
Yeah, and I got a big ass RV.
You're gonna just drive it off the side to the left.
Uh-oh, I hear a danger noodle.
Run it
There's pins up
over.
here, by the way.
Driving in my car right after a beer.
Oh god!
Oh
We're
my
gonna
God. And
We got this.
done.
Keep driving. Keep driving. Keep
We're
driving.
gonna go upside down.
Hold
We're
on,
gonna go upside
hold
down.
on.
We're gonna go upside down.
Yeah, we got it. We made it.
What the hell?
Oh my god! How did you do that?
This is the point here. You don't have to play the game the way the game wants to be played. As long as the RV gets through
Hey,
the situation.
I mean, I know that was like really cool and shit. We're stuck though. Can we get a
Okay, let's grab one of those pins.
Yeah, we do. have a
Ow,
pen.
got bitten by a danger noodle.
like? I know that was the most craziest, awesome shit I've done all day, but yeah, we're stuck.
I mean, we do have a pen on the rooftop, so.
It was.
Oh,
I think
there's
it fell
one
off.
back here.
I think it fell off earlier. There might be
I'm
some
throwing
stuff
pins
here.
at y'all.
Okay, I will.
Just attach it to a
Just the
tree. There's a
front
tree
of
over
the-
there.
Hey, there's some scrap and tires over here, but there's a.
Where did you?
I think I hear a snake.
Yeah, I don't know where the snake is, but I do see a pen being thrown at me. So.
Oh, I found the snake. It is under a tire. He's a son of a bitch.
Oh, I hear. another
Kill
one
him!
over here.
Kill
I
a
also found
snake.
some-
Wait, can you
Yeah,
kill the
I'm
snakes
totally
with the
behind
hammer?
that, since snakes scare the shit out of me.
Can you kill the snakes
got a
with the
pen.
hammer?
It's worth a
Oh
shot.
shit, another danger noodle. There's like 3 danger noodles.
You can kill the
Oh,
snake.
yeah,
with
there's a
Giga?
l-
No,
You
why
kill
not?
the snake with Giga.
Why?
Yeah, I
don't
don't-
pick me up and throw me. We're fine. We're fine, chat.
Ready?
Winch it.
I could see Red using Giga as a shield for a danger noodle.
Yeah, there's some,
That tracks.
just a little bit more. Going, keep going,
There's
keep
the other
going,
pins.
Yeah, there's
going,
two pins down there.
Pins. Nice.
going.
I want a hippopotamus
going.
for Christmas.
Going.
Only a hippopotamus
good.
will do.
I'm just gonna leave it winched as I'm keep gathering gear and I'm not driving actively.
Yeah,
More
I
bear
think-
spray.
Ha, ha, ha,
There's an
ha, ha.
antidote over here, but it's right next to a snake, and it feels really redundant to grab an antidote right next to a snake. But at the
Okay,
same time,
Per
Does
your
the hammer
request,
kill?
Red.
I got
there
it. I got
is
it. I got the
mirrors.
antidote.
I'm trying to climb the ladder, but I can't because the back end's too far off the ground.
I'll fix it in a second. We'll get this flat ground. Ooh, what was this? Get out.
Wish I could lay down in the bed. I want to sleep.
Right? I know. Alright, could someone unwinch me, please?
Okay, I want
There
to
we go.
throw this pin.
Need to de-wench.
All right, you're unwitched.
De-wenching.
Ah, fuck me, dude. This is just a tough spot to be in. I think we're already stuck again.
Meow.
Yeah,
Meow.
because both of them are up there.
Meow.
Bit
I
more
can't-
winch.
My cat's
Oh,
meowing
that-
at me.
I gave you a
Did you
little
just
bump.
push? Did that
Yeah, I
work?
just gave
I
you a
can't
bump.
believe it.
Just
Okay,
push it.
nobody go near those tires. There's a snake hiding under it.
Meow.
So,
I hear the
Go-
danger noodle. I'm
Yeah,
starting to freak out slowly but surely.
We pull up more because the top of the bus is being hit by the arch. Dude, are we going right or left? Like
I'm
what's
trying to
easiest
find
way?
out. I think we go to the right here, and we have to drive over giant metal blocks, and then move a giant metal block or something eventually.
Dear Lord,
You're
I
a
can't get
giant
up the
metal
damn
block.
Stairs.
I'm not in, like, this is. I don't know what's
There we
happening
go.
here.
Okay, well, if we drive across the metal block, that's fine.
Yeah. And then we got to get across there somehow. We'll find out how.
There's another snake up here somewhere.
Danger
Danger
noodle.
No, there's a
danger
couple
noodle.
of. There's a couple of.
I think you can also just drive along the bottom.
There's a
There's a
couple of
giant
planks
metal block
here.
in the way.
Oh.
There's a couple of planks here that we'll use to get across.
Yeah.
Do we?
I
have a
hear,
hammer?
like,
I want
at
to see if
least
a hammer
2
can smack a
danger noodles.
snake.
Huh. Oh shit.
Those
Yeah,
blocks
can
are
you
Watch out.
massive, apparently. So.
Yeah, in a weird way. All right, I'm gonna stop.
Watch out for
right
danger
here.
noodles. They're
Yeah,
to
so
the
I bet
left
if
of
you wanted to go the bottom way, you attach the pin to the block and you pull the block out with the winch.
Oh, maybe that's how we get that one into place over here.
Yes.
Oof.
Yes,
That's so
probably.
I got
That's-
bit.
You fuck. That's smart.
Yeah, big brain me.
I died.
Did you die to a snake?
I died to a snake.
Oh
Tried smacking it
no.
with a hammer. It
I-
didn't work.
Oh no.
His corpse chilling.
I tried. Scientific.
Anyway, get up.
Scientific approaches to the situation requires. Oh, I'm alive.
Yeah, apparently EpiPens revive people, and I picked up at
EpiPens
least.
revive you, so you're good.
So
we
wait,
have
can
11 of them.
Yo, we can totally winch these.
Yeah, do it.
Oh wait, what's the point of going this way? It just looks like parkour. Are we supposed to be down below, or can we go up here?
I
don't know.
I don't
Supposed to
know.
be down below.
There
Hold
is.
on, we'll see.
There's a down below dirt way. Also, what the hell, snake? Look at this fucking.
There's a snake over there?
I guess. I think we go down here and we go through the mud, or we
Is
could
that
go
a
to the
hanging
left.
danger noodle?
Danger noodle.
Yeah. Who wants to be a gamer? Go on. I did the last one. This is gonna be
I hate
great.
danger
'cause-
noodles.
Oh!
I'm
yeah.
dead.
I don't know why you would do that. That was.
I got the danger noodle off, right?
Yeah, you
No.
got the danger noodle off.
Oh, he's still there for me.
Oh.
Oh, I saw it on the floor.
Yeah, nothing's left. Okay.
So do we try to?
I think we go
across
this
the
way,
mud?
then we go down this hill and up the mud like
Okay.
gamers.
Sounds good.
Also,
I'll
there's
do
a lot
it.
of
I'm just
scrap,
like, ugh, danger noodle.
like down here, by the way. I don't know if y'all see this, like
There's
scrap.
another
There's scrap in it. I'm going where the danger noodle fell because there's a scrap in an EpiPen down here.
Oh, did I knock it all off when I did that?
Do not the snake.
No, they like spawn down there or something.
Why are the steps right by the cliff?
Yeah.
Stop trying to attack me. You dumb
Ooh,
snake.
ow, broke my legs. That's alright. I didn't need those legs. Optional.
Oh,
Shit,
it's
I don't
Snakes are
have-
hissing. Try to
So
hammer
if I
some
push the
here.
button, will it pull the block, you think?
Yeah,
There you go.
honestly, go for it. I want to tell. I
Nope,
wanna see.
it's not working. It's not doing anything.
The
Oh
block
wait!
is
Oh wait! It's moving!
It is.
It's moving!
It's going the wrong way. It's about to go. It's.
Well, I
Oh no,
tried.
it's in there. Oh,
Still
there you are.
moving.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah.
Still moving. Still moving.
You going?
Uh-oh.
It's just gonna go. It's
Oh. Sad. We tried.
Well, anyway.
That was fun anyway.
Okay, now Red has to.
Like I like and Red has to like nobody else is allowed to drive. No, we're meant to.
Red's
I'm-
the
only-
I've seen.
Red's
each
the
of
only
other
one with
persons
his-
people
Red's-
drive so far.
Red's the only one with a CDL.
I don't know what that is.
A truck driver's license.
It's a commercial truck license.
Oh.
It literally
For
stands for
commercial
commercial
drive.
driver's license. Yeah.
He's just like, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
slightly
God.
disappointed tire wipe hunt. It's normal. It's just
Hey,
part
hey,
of the
hey.
show.
Okay.
Why not pun?
Okay, so we're basically
All right.
driving this way and down the hill into the mud.
Am I taking it?
Yeah, I got across.
All right.
I will hop
As the
in.
snake's trying to bite us the whole time.
All right. Would you
Yeah,
like to
feel
come in?
free, you're like parked right over a snake, so there's no way I
Yeah.
can get in.
I'll be honest. I'm going
Okay.
this space. You might not be able to get it. Hold
You're
on.
Driving up the side. Okay.
How the hell? Are we
You
supposed
saw how
to
that
get
went.
down?
I'm a gamer. Okay. Can you get in?
'Cause that just looks like
Um,
down and into a ravine.
Yeah, cause
Yeah,
Go
we
down.
want to. We want to go down.
The
Okay.
mud. Yeah. we're
Go!
gonna
Go!
just watch Ghiga coming through the roof.
Go! Don't go left.
Oh, I thought it was a sheer
Alright.
drop.
No.
Oh no!
windshield.
Ooh, mud.
We had a couple. I think we still have a. Maybe
We're
we still have a
good.
pin.
There was a pin back there. It might have fallen
We're
out.
fine. Still go. Oh no, what are we stuck? We're like stuck on air. What the fuck? Okay, hold on.
You
There
hit
was-
a rock and it's not climbing it.
Oh no, we lost our
back up and
pin
go.
somewhere. We had a pin here and it's gone.
Speed is snail.
We lost
Thank
it
you.
somewhere.
There we go.
I'll do it.
That's
Nice.
just pushing the vehicle. What's at the top of this though? More mud?
The end.
More
We just
mud.
went the fun way, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh gosh! Oh god!
It is
We-
a
We just
way.
lost a whole bunch of
We all knew that was coming.
We knew it would be a disaster. And yet we did it anyway.
Damn.
Oh, we also lost the ladder, so
Yeah.
we can't actually climb.
Okay,
To
we
the
have to
top.
go attached to the tree.
Okay. Yeah.
Alright.
Okay. There is enough room for us to
Yeah.
attach to the tree. The front winch is locked. Can someone unlock that?
Oh.
See, that's what the beers are for. It gives you strength enough to push it.
Wow. Well,
Oh,
there's the
that's
next
running
checkpoint.
winch. There we go.
Beer
Nice.
gives you strength like Popeye.
Whee!
Have you seen the rumors that that spinach that Popeye eats is actually not spinach, but basically army grade like methamphetamine?
Jesus.
I wouldn't be
Makes
surprised.
sense. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Popeye's actually just
That-
doing cocaine.
Yeah, no, it's let's see if you actually look up green.
Does that mean he just thinks he's strong, but he's not actually strong?
No, because that is
Oh,
that is
okay.
like even the timing
Sorry.
down to is very similar to what like to the whole theory is like in the Navy they actually serve this green spinach, which would actually give it was like kind of like a last ditch effort.
Oh,
Oh.
That means that would.
I
like,
got you.
spark
Don't
their
you
system.
worry. Up
Yay.
underneath you go.
Oh, yay.
Do we have any antidotes or anything? Because I'm like half poisoned.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's
Just
one.
check the cabinets.
There's
I
one
was
in,
like-
in the RV.
was-
I got
Check about it.
nuggies. I got a
Right here.
can of nuggies.
Well, that would heal my
Red.
soul. I don't think that would heal my snake bite.
actually, I
It might
want
heal
nuggies
both.
too.
Right here.
Cheat.
What?
Drop
what?
it. Drop the nuggets. Drop the nuggies,
Oh no!
please.
Okay, that heals. Jump. Annie 1-3.
No, wait.
Nice.
It's one of the nuggies. I was just broken bones. I just had broken legs. I swear. I just wanted the nuggets for the.
Do you want to go
for my broken
swimming?
bones. No, it
Okay.
doesn't look very
There's a
nice
bear
in here.
spray.
Okay.
That looks like sulfur water and shit.
Oh, that looks
It'll be
pretty.
fine.
Like Horseshoe Canyon.
I want to throw this
Alright,
other
fine.
bear spray in here. Why do we have a ball?
There's
over
a
there?
cave
Why do we
over
leave the ball
here!
Shoved.
Are we gonna drive through the
Under.
cave?
I think we have to drive
Eventually.
through the cave.
Red, we're gonna drive
There
through the
we go.
cave.
Cheat.
Yeah.
Cheat.
No,
Bye.
no, no!
There we go.
Oh,
Aim for the water! Oh, you didn't aim for the water!
I
What
didn't-
are you doing?
I didn't get hurt. I'm afraid of the
Did you get
water.
hurt? Ow! Fuck! Ow! That hurt.
I'm afraid of the water. I don't want to go in the water. I'm scared of it. No. No, I'm really scared of it. No.
Ah.
I went
Ow.
in the water.
That time I got hurt.
Is there anything over here?
No. I was ready for like an alligator or some shit to pop out.
Ow, ow.
The way we
Merry
swim is so funny.
Christmas, Merry
It's
Christmas.
the little bodies.
Can't get in.
Can I get back up? There's the question. There we
I
go.
can't get in the
Can I
RV.
get back
There
up?
we go. I made it.
There's nothing over here.
Guys, I don't have any
That's a
food.
shame.
All I have is beer.
Yeah. Do we
There's
not have
other-
beef
there's a
patties?
package
Here
of
for
burgers
Chinese.
up
Oh,
there.
here's some beef patties.
I think I left a lit thing in this one. Oh, it's unlit.
On my way.
Cool. All right,
On my
you guys
way
want to?
back.
Oh, you got one? Okay, I'll put it back.
Yeah, I got one and dropped it.
Well, oh, don't put it here on the
Right outside
hill.
the-
Wait, I got
Jesus.
I got nuggies. I'm fine. I just
All
eat
my
these
burgers.
nuggies. I just eat these
Once
Wait a
nuggies.
minute.
burger's starting to roll down the hill, I'll start
Yeah.
getting questions.
Alright, I'm good. I ate nuggies.
It'll be floor water burgers. A soggy burger. There we go.
A Flora burger.
Yeah.
How do
Oh,
I get
Yeah.
my-
Flurger.
oh,
Flurger.
Florgers.
Sweet Flurgers.
This one's called a Johnny. It's called a Johnny. All right, anybody else need burgers?
I want to go in the cave.
I'll eat a burger. Where's your burger?
We're going to get
Burger.
burgers. We kinda killed it.
Florgers.
had our ankles.
I just ate Johnny.
Florgers. Welder.
Here's Johnny.
Wait, you can weld
Do
stuff
you
on
need a
there.
burger or are you done?
No, I ate some nuggies. I'm good.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
I ate
I
a
got
can
the
of
other
nuggies.
Awesome. Okay. We don't need
I
those.
just realized the ball in here. We have 3 bear
What?
sprays. The ball's on a shelf.
Yeah, I put it there. It's mine.
You never know. when
It's
we
my
need a bear
ball.
spray.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna begin walking through the cave just to see what's up here.
Oh, we're out of oil for the engine.
These
too.
cigarettes last
Okay.
forever.
Yeah, they do. Literally.
It's probably gonna put. Let's see where he puts us.
Oh, why is it foggy?
Oh, hell
Because
yeah.
it's spoopy.
Oh, man. Damn.
Holy shit, it's been so long, bro. Hello, how have you been?
Hey.
No, we're playing Harvey there yet.
Damn.
It's been luckily we've actually survived. I mean, we did die a few times, but it has been pretty solid. A jerker with air.
Giga!
Yerger.
Giga!
Yerger.
Giga, watch out!
Run him down.
Oh, no.
Extra points.
You guys have a door?
There's a door.
That's
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
Also,
Okay,
did you
I'm
know
sitting
that
down
the passenger seat actually swivels?
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. It's badass.
That's cool.
Is the
That's-
horse on fire?
Oh shit!
Yes,
that
the
grill I
forest is
threw
on fire.
earlier. Oh guys, I'll be honest. That's on me. I threw that lick grill earlier. That's on.
Yeah.
Are we
I
against the
told
clock?
you. I warned you about throwing that.
I suddenly feel danger. I feel not safe.
Huh. Look at all
But
the
it's gonna
pretty fall
wind to the
colors.
left.
I don't think
Oh, we
them's
gotta
is
take care of
fall
the
colors.
fire on this. Oh shit, dude.
Oh jeez.
All right, all right.
It was getting stuff in here anyways.
Dude, is this not where we go? Oh no, we have to.
I think the
we have
bridge is on
to.
fire. Stop.
There's
Stop.
fire extinguishers.
I was
that's
getting
fire
closer.
extinguishers breaking.
Catches the bus on fire.
Ew.
What are you-
It's like spraying splooge.
It's bounty.
Why are you splooging on the fire?
Oh, I fell through
No,
the bridge. I'm below the bridge.
Oh.
Under the bridge.
No, don't make it weird.
Oh.
me when I see large-breasted goth women.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Wait, why is it
everywhere.
bouncy?
It's been a few months since the last time I watched your.
It's like
What are you-
springy.
Oh, no worries. I took an extended break.
Don't call it springy.
So,
It's
for about 6
springy.
months, I took a break. Hold on, I'm on my way back. I
It's
fell
springy.
through the bridge.
Look for this. Look for
shit, I
this
just fell.
splooge.
Well, that,
Yeah, you had to
saw
walk
that.
back.
oh, there's like
There's-
stuff down here.
Yeah, I picked up
Ow.
a couple scrap.
I got hit by fire.
Nice.
Getting
Cool.
hit by fire again.
Oh, there's more stuff
And
on
I'm
fire.
down. Crap, I'm like on
Where's
fire.
the fire extinguishers? Did you all use
Oh, they're
them
in
all?
here. No, they're just in here and stuff.
Wambat's down there on a pile of fire.
Oh no, Wambat!
Did not-
On fire.
It's
it
a
did not
Wambat
even look like it was
barbecue.
on fire.
Where's
It
the
didn't even
Wambat,
look like it was on fire.
It's on one of the shelves.
On my
Wambat
Yeah.
barbecue. Don't forget the barbecue sauce, Giga.
Another follower? What do you mean another follower? Where? Who's
We have
another
to-
follower? Oh, Loki. Hello, Loki. Thank you for being a follower. Oh,
What?
I thought you already followed.
Wait,
What?
this looks like we have to make a jump here, but this isn't possible currently, right? Is there a plank somewhere?
Not without these lumber down here near Wambat.
Oh,
Oh.
it's down there. Yo, yeet it up here. Yeet it up here.
Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
Good catch.
Here's a fire extinguisher. I
Chief,
guess, yeah.
can you
just
catch it?
throw- Oh, we have another winch pole down here.
That's because Loki, that's because you
Here's a
triggered
fire
my bot
extinguisher.
in my chat. That was my bot in my chat.
Alright. Oh shit!
Ah.
I didn't know you were throwing.
Nice
Got
catch.
it. That would track.
Fire
been-
extinguisher. Feel thine raft.
Lizard. Why do you all do lizard stuff?
Lizard.
Lizard.
Lizard. Lizard. Lizard.
Lizard.
Lizard.
Lizard.
Lizard. Lizard.
Wait,
Lizard.
why?
Lizard.
It's like clouds. It's like squishy.
That's
Squishy.
definitely a better visual than the others.
Yes.
Um,
That's why I said it.
You and God,
It's like fluffy little sheep that's had their heads and legs cut off.
Oh,
Oh.
well,
Trying to throw
I
it
don't
in the
know.
RV.
that was a little much. I'm getting in. Alright, I'm in.
Pun.
Yay.
Why? Oh, why pun? I'm actually
Lizard, 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 lizard.
I have a cursed Sonic in my ear. Can you take a left?
What the
kind of at
fuck is a
end?
static?
Yeah,
Lizard.
It's something. Oh, he's broken.
To the left.
Done. We're good. We're
We're
good.
gonna list to the left.
We're gonna lose the pin.
Fine.
It's gonna fall out the door. That's broken.
Fine.
Oh God! It's gonna stab me in the face.
Oh, what the hell?
So this seems really overcomplicated.
Lizard.
Going around the rock.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that difficult, I wouldn't think. Especially with an A.
No
like
pun.
that.
Breathe.
Yep.
Breathe. Pun.
And to the right.
Winch pole. Give me the winch pole. Give me the winch.
Winch.
pole.
Why do you need a winch?
Back. No, just this pole's on the ground and just walking around.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh.
It's been flying around. It hit me
Oh.
in the face.
Anyway.
Oh, trying Tucci. I broke Sonic. Hydrate Giga. Thank you. I'm doing great.
Breathe, pun. Don't die.
Just don't breathe the air in the game because everything is on fire. Hey, look, new checkpoint. Wow,
New
we are really
checkpoint.
cooking. No pun intended.
Because I lit the forest on fire.
I mean, we have a pun.
Oh, our ladder's gone. Okay, that's fine. Not that we
Oh.
use anything on top anyways.
We can repair it.
Look,
We
I
have
I made a
13
donut.
revive. How many people
Ooh.
die in this game? We have 13 revives. What the?
We've just actually done really well. Like, I honestly did not expect to get, like, this far at all.
We're gamers.
Did not expect
Yeah,
to
we
get
actually
this
know
far.
what we're doing for once.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know if I know that at all, but we happen to have a sense of somewhat self-preservation this time around other than myself.
Donut. I made a
Are you kidding me?
donut.
I'm trying to go faster on these turns. I'm just a gamer.
Okay, doing the math, if everything's on fire anyways, I can just throw my cigarette out, right?
Absolutely.
I'm not going to do any more harm to the environment. Sounds like my girlfriend, she'll fly if I tickle her. What? Huh?
We don't have any oil for the engine.
Limbs fly if I get tickled. Oh yeah, deck someone. I don't do.
Can you
touch,
sit down
is
holding
defense
it? Oh.
activated. Yeah.
I mean, also, you could throw your cigarette out at this point. It's already on fire. It's not like you can add to it.
Okay, question is, does cigarettes actually start a fire, or is it going to be on fire no matter?
No. This. I think this.
It'd be really cool though. Like if you actually didn't like this in this game, you just like there was no fire.
Yeah.
And what would be really awesome is the more cigarettes you threw out, the bigger and badder the
Oh,
fire.
yeah.
It just gets
Put it on
worse.
hard mode. 30 cigarettes later,
I'm
like
on
the
the
whole
roof.
game, it's just burning up.
Alright.
She abuses me if I tickle her.
Get outta
Sure,
here.
that's hilarious, but also probably well earned.
Look, I'm on the
What is
roof.
green, covered in Christmas lights and bulbs, and goes rivet? A mistletoe.
There's a bear.
Oh my God.
Where?
Whoever's
so
on the
much
other
bear
side of the
spray.
bridge, there's a bear.
Follow me, bear. I
Where's
dare
the
you.
bear?
It's at
Over
the bridge.
here, Wambat.
I'm
on
crossing the
it.
bridge already. So
It's coming.
it
It's
was-
gonna look at us.
It's
It's looking
running
at
I'm
us.
trying to catch up.
That's an ugly
Yeah,
looking bear.
Bear maced.
Yeah, get out of here, bear. You jerk.
This
I'm
is what I
gonna
think
just
it is.
cross
Roar!
as it sits.
Alright, well,
Roar!
yeah.
I'm in.
By the way, she's
Before
scared
the
of
bear
mouses.
decides to come back.
Mouses. It's mice.
Mises.
Meese.
Mouses.
I love
Mises.
Mises 2 pieces.
But also, well, wow, help me, she's hitting me now. Wow. Abusive girlfriend.
Maybe you
why
shouldn't
are
piss her
all
off and she won't hit you.
like tiny little taps. The door. Oh.
What's going on? You
Uh-oh.
good? Do you need in?
Yes, I'm
My
scared.
legs don't go very far.
I would like in, please. I would like in, please.
Oh, wait. Gee, where are you?
On the
Fly
right,
off
on the
side,
right.
we're gonna fly off the side. Now we're stuck on a tree.
The tree's
I would
actually
get
kind
out,
of helping
but it
us.
looks like that leads off to a cliff.
Well, there we go.
Where's the
Okay,
wife?
we're good.
Hi.
I have no wife. I will
Hi.
not have a wife. I'm 31.
There's Ghiga.
and I
Where-
think
where's,
it's just all
where's
downhill
Chi?
from here.
Here I am.
There we go.
Alright, everybody sit down. God damn it.
Where's Chi? Oh,
Right here.
Chi. You're not sitting down yet.
Here I am.
Okay. Where the hell are we?
Dying.
Yeah, we're going to the left.
Am I after
We're going on a
To the
trip
right.
in our favorite rocket ship.
Let me know if they do anything while I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm gonna drive this RV off a cliff. Whee!
Hi, Lola.
Well, we're probably about to do that anyways. To the left.
Left.
There we go.
We're zooming.
Resume.
And it's gonna go
And
list to
we're
the
gonna go
right.
second gear. Taking a while.
Hard right.
Hard right. Ah, damn, I was gonna go left.
Straight off the cliff into the fire.
Like the directions say go right. Well, left is death. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go right.
What's up, Lola?
Oh, I thought the objective was going to death.
What?
It tries.
Okay.
What is happening in my chat?
I don't know either. I'm confused.
I'm always confused.
Me too.
Ah,
Ah!
Door.
That's
We
alright.
have the door with
You're
us.
fine.
I just got a window to the face.
I didn't take that turn the best because I didn't feel like slowing down.
Don't worry, guys. We still got the air
We can have
freshener.
nice things, Brad.
I got the winch pole. Oh man, sir, how did you do that? I have TTS redeems.
Shit. Every time I try to move up in gears, it's really hard to get in the middle gears.
All right, into the mine or whatever the hell this is.
Looks miney.
We
Oh,
aren't even looking at what's ahead. We're
the
just
children
going.
yearn for the mines.
Come on.
We're in Minecraft
Got
now.
the black lung, Dad.
Oh shit, I got
I think I got
gear
the
3,
black
we're
lung, Pop.
Oh, no.
You were there
Oh.
for one day.
on, I'm
Flashlight.
trying-
There you
okay.
go.
Why
Sorry,
is
I had
it
to find
so
the button.
dark? I don't like this.
This just turned into a horror game.
It did. I don't like it. I'm scared. If there's a giant spider in here, I'm done.
I know.
No, I don't.
Is
think
that
it is.
lava? Are we going to lava?
It's Minecraft. I told you.
Alright.
All right, check for supplies. Rebuild.
Oh my god, so many EpiPens. Oh no, flares?
Hey, there's some burn lotions.
What is this?
The battle royale. Pun is starting yet another battle. How many battles are you going to do?
This
A lotion, burn lotion, motor oil,
Burn lotion.
Oh, we need that.
flares.
a cup of coffee.
It puts the lotion on the skin, otherwise it gets the magma again.
Flare. How's this work?
We
Light
only
flare.
have. Maybe there's some more in here.
I did them all already.
Well,
There's
that doesn't
hats in
feel
here.
very far.
There's hats and chicken nuggets.
Die.
Hats?
Oh, shit.
Chicken nuggies.
I don't know where the floor is. Hello? Oh, clearly we go through here.
Oh dear lord. There's those. The flares. There's flares.
Oh, there's
no, wait,
lava
no.
down below this, so we're
Don't
gonna
need
have to
those nuggies.
definitely jump through this at really fast speeds. Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Oh, there's some more scrap. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Finally some speed in this
More scrap?
bit.
That's definitely lava down there.
Picked up
Okay.
2 more pieces of scrap.
Battle Royale. I think only Pun can trigger the Battle Royales.
Oh dear lord.
I want to look at an expanded command set for people.
Well, we're almost
just to give them
fixed.
more interactivity.
Why would you
Hey.
light that here? Why would you light that
So you
in
can see.
here? Jesus.
I want to, so we can see.
Wait.
Would you like to get on?
We like to get some lotion, and then yes, I would like to get on.
To the death again? Why not?
Must get back.
Don't worry, I'll hold it.
Where's Wambat? I think
He's
Wambat,
still
you're gonna have to go
leaving
fast
me.
at it.
Oh.
Or that will happen.
That's
Oh,
lava.
that was just a straight hole. Oh.
Yeah, you wanted to ramp that as fast as you
Oh, I didn't know how much that was bad.
Yeah, nope. I don't. Hey, we do have a winch pole though.
Yeah, was that? I got the winch. Somebody come put down a winch pole.
Wambat's over here with the winch.
Are you walking on the lava?
Here, Wambat.
Yeah, probably right here.
Can't stab it. Oh, never mind. I'm an idiot. Got it. Okay.
Where did you put it?
It's right here.
Ah!
I don't
Like
even see
right
it.
in front.
I fell.
Maybe you should
Are you not
back up and.
standing on it?
Yeah, you were walking right on top.
Wait,
of
it just disappeared.
I like physically do not see it.
It
See
just
what?
disappeared.
Here.
Wait, what is
Look
your
at it.
problem?
Let's reset the winch because I can see it. Or drop the winch.
Yeah, I just dropped the winch.
There
I
we
can
go.
see the pin.
What do-
There you
That's
go.
why I can't see the pin.
Given why? Who? Annie wins again?
Come on.
You
Come on.
got this.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
Where's the gas?
Little more. Little more. Little
Drive
more.
up the mountain. Drive into the mountain. It's optional. You just drive the mountain.
I think it's a volcano.
I have Red and Chi in the same spot. There we go.
Just overlapping each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. Pick up, reset the winch.
Yeah, there's no pin from, on my
Oh,
side.
it disappeared again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's been there the whole time. Okay, I'm gonna run up ahead.
Alright, you run up ahead.
As Fred passes you.
Giga!
Oh, I need to smoke more to
Oh,
get
oh.
to stay up ahead. Oh, I see planks. Those might be useful for something.
Oh, there goes our flare.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, more planks
Got
and
little
winches and
legs.
stuff. Oh, here
Find
we
my
are.
dad.
Alright, I'm gonna back up so I can get more light from the van.
Is this where we needed the oh, okay.
Sorry. Oh, wow, that went one.
Do we have any flares or are we toast?
It fell out of the truck back there.
Got it. It looks like we should just drive across this. Doesn't
Widow
look like
wigs.
it's hazardous.
They are widow
There was
wigs.
there was the winch stuff here. I can't see it. The winch stuff now.
Yeah, no. This looks like a pretty normal bridge.
Yeah. I think you can just drive across it.
Here. Oh look,
You know-
another EpiPen. I got burgers.
I can't even see the goddamn truck. I realized
Is it just
Hang on.
rolled off?
it's just black on my screen. Can I turn the brightness up on this son of a bitch?
Hang on.
I have an OLED screen, so I'm not going to be
There
able
we
to
go.
help.
Oh, and that helps. Now I can see the truck
Yeah,
again.
the roof
Alright,
has a
I
light.
just took a break.
So if we get the roof back on,
I don't think
can
you
see
need
out.
anything. You can
Okay.
just drive straight.
Do we need to put a winch on our roof? Because there's two right there.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Winch pulls.
Yeah.
How do
The winch- yeah, the winch
I
pulls.
don't know, but is this normal for people? Like
We
little-
have. I
little
don't know if we have a
pitter-patters?
ladder. I don't have a ladder to even get up
This
there.
looks
and put it up
horrifying.
there.
Yeah.
Widow wigs.
Okay, okay.
Widow wigs.
Widow wigs. Widow wigs.
There we
Widow
go.
wigs.
And normal average legs. I couldn't tell ya. Like no.
Telly.
You got it up?
Natalia.
Telly,
This game because I can just throw
Right.
cigarettes here because it's all lava and on fire anyway.
Oh, there really is lava.
Exactly.
That's scary.
You
I
not seen
It's
the
just
lava?
the way we're angled. I can't get up the ladder.
What are you
Does that
all
work?
doing over there?
Yeah, what are you guys
Oh,
doing?
trying to put a-
Oh, come on.
What
We're
are
trying
you,
to put a winch pole on
I'm
the
just terrible
top.
at getting up this stupid ass.
why?
ladder. There we go.
The ladder does. Because we didn't have one, so we're trying to put one on while there's an extra here.
Oh, we have one. No,
I
we
thought
have
you were
one up
you
here.
trying to
There's one
use
up
Do you
it.
have one? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we do have one.
Well, then we'll go.
Bum, 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 ba, dum,
I
bum,
got
bum,
burgers.
ba.
Giga's literally. Yeah, what are y'all doing?
Boing, boing,
I'm
boing.
literally
Don't hit
throwing it into a lava. It's fun.
Watch out.
Oh.
And
Yay.
I don't think he knows where he's going. Okay.
is this a?
We're back. We
Checkpoint.
have zeros. No, we ain't
No,
checkpoint.
it's, I don't think. Is it a
It's-
checkpoint?
I don't think it's a checkpoint.
It's
Oh.
a place.
There's a
Okay, well,
flipatronic.
There's burgers
That's
and a
what they used to
grill.
call me back in high school.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, we need
burgers and
this.
grill.
Okay, we have so much beer in here. I need the room for a burger pack. So there.
I'm trying to put the beer on all the coasters. We're stocked up on beer.
This beer?
We have so much beer.
Hey,
I have
hey, I'm
not
trying to
seen
stock up
this
on that
much
beer.
beer in my life other than at like a college party. But
I was about to say
we
back
also
when you were in
have
your frat and
Frat house.
he was a frat boy.
No, I was working 2 jobs through college, so I had no
Me
social
too.
college life. Probably for the best,
There's a
honestly.
flare.
Probably
Flare.
for the best, honestly.
I also worked 2 jobs in college. It was not fun.
Yep. I graduated
I
without
I
a
worked
single
one.
bit of college debt.
That's amazing.
Dang.
I had a lot of debt.
I didn't have a damn penny. Fucking nailed it.
Flare.
My college was
I went
actually
the cheapest route. I didn't go to some name brand
I just
school.
throw it at
I
you.
just did state colleges and.
I went to
started
community
at a
college.
community. Yeah.
I went to a full-on university. It's the program I did, not the most expensive program. So
Got it.
and
Well, scholarships
also
and stuff help.
yeah, they gave me money for being smart, so that helps.
Nice.
This should go on the
Yep,
roof so
it
we
does
don't
help.
lose it.
I don't think. Can we even get to? the
Sorry,
roof
do I
at
have
the
a
moment? Do we
person?
have-
Shit.
oh,
Alright,
I'm a person.
Sorry.
Oh, I
be
can't
sorry
get up.
You're a person. It is the.
I can't
it
get up
is
the ladder to put this up
person.
there.
I think
Oh,
we
yeah.
already have one up there, so we
Uh.
don't need to put it up there.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
Unless
already
we
one
throw
up
one
there,
of the
but
other
the
things
ladder's
off
there.
and put it up there.
Alright,
Can we throw
well.
like the Flipatronic off and put
Maybe.
that up there
Use-
instead?
Very possible.
Oh.
I just ran over the whole thing after climbing the ladder. Okay.
Oh. Guy. I think there. No, that's a light. Oh, there's an elevator coming up, guys.
Can we move this jack and put? Where's that pole thingy at? That you have.
Whole thing?
Gee.
Wait! What? No! No! Come
I'm
here!
on top. I'm on top.
It's okay. We
That's
need to
what
go.
she
We'll get
said.
down anyways.
Oh, wow, someone tired. Chief? Is it bedtime?
I'm old.
Wow, that's rich. There,
Oh,
Giga.
it's
Coming
don't-
from me?
don't- again?
Shh, don't worry about it.
Careful.
Don't worry about it. What college?
Is it going up or down?
What go college for? I have a bachelor's degree in marketing. That's my college degree. Oh, this is already built for us. As long as
Yeah,
someone
just
doesn't
be
drive it
careful.
off the front.
Yeah, I got it.
Whee!
Somebody might have to
The
sit
degree
outside
of
and
telling
make sure
people,
we're
making
good.
people want to buy shit. That's what the degree is.
So
Whee!
it's more. It is definitely psychology. But there's definitely more to it than like.
Are we
I think
good?
it's you need to go for
Probably not.
I have a cheap.
Okay, now.
I have a.
All right.
I have a
It's
cheap
gonna
version
tilt it
of a
forward,
computer
but I don't
science
think you can
degree.
Go forward enough to get off. So this is going to be a bumpy ride down for you.
Okie
Fuck
dokie,
it,
he'll be
there,
fine.
we'll just use the wedge on the way down just in case.
Oh! Oh!
This is a bit more forward than I was expecting.
Ah! Ah!
We're good.
Ah!
We're good. We're totally fine. We're totally fine.
You're fine.
Hey, look, the winch worked.
My seat's
Just
backwards.
drop it.
Swivel back.
Whee!
This is
Let's
box.
I'll hit it.
absolute
Just go ahead and get
games,
on it.
Yeah, I got a
marketing,
box!
corner, which merge theory,
Me
psychology,
too!
psychology, Yeah.
Can we like?
Marketing is definitely economics and psychology.
Mm-hmm.
I have an associate's
that's
degree in
just
website
numbers.
programming, which is a very
I-
cheap 2-year degree for computer science.
I know nothing about programming, and I'm not even saying I'm accurately using my or adequately using my college degree that I do have. I mean, I did.
Man, technically, right now I'm not using mine either, so it's fine.
I'm not using mine.
I
Neither
would
am
say
I.
I'm using about 35% of my degree. in
I
my
what?
college.
I'm using absolutely
I'm-
freaking zero.
Zero.
I did use my degree until,
That
2
lasted a
years
while.
ago. Yeah.
I have a
I
bachelor's
just
in
ended up staying.
science.
I basically
Which
just
science?
ended up staying in the industry. I
Simulation
started
and game
while I was
design.
At school.
Go make a game, Red. I'll play the game.
I made a game.
You made a game.
No,
Red
make-
made
I
a
made
game?
I made a game with a group of people,
No,
and
make
it's a
it-
really awesome fucking.
Make a better
Is it
game.
on Steam?
No.
It's not on Steam, but if I give it to you guys, you can't like show it public. It has
That's
like
fair.
my real
Oh,
name
okay.
and shit attached to it. I'll show you guys. I trust you guys.
Maybe we all jump into Red's or yeah, you have a Discord, right?
I'll
Maybe
give it to you
use that
guys
Discord.
because
we just
you
watch
just
Red
can't show
play
it
and be
because
like,
it has my
"Show
real
us."
name, and then literally does a stream afterwards of playing Red's game.
It's a
Just
really,
blurs out everything
it's a
else.
good game. There's only like I think one part I have to warn people to do. I don't know. I have to check my notes. There's like one
Wait,
thing
is this the one
doesn't
that
work.
is this the one that I played?
Yeah.
That game's hard.
Does it have anything to do with
I-
driving a stick
I-
shift, Chief?
No.
I'll give it a
No.
try.
No, it does not. It's like a tower defense
Fuck.
game.
It's a wave defense.
Okay, well, send it to me
it's-
anyways. I'll give it a shot.
It's a wave defense, third-person shooter, tower defense.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, what he
A
said.
wave defense third person.
Oh yeah, dude. Dude, it's like it's pretty unique. We had like the best game at the school's like big it's like a big project at like every
Interesting.
graduating
Was there a
class.
particular game engine they had you use or something?
Yeah, we were I believe the final class to use Unity.
What did he move to?
Oh.
Unreal after that?
I forget. I don't
Probably
care.
Godot.
I'm done. I think
But
there was a lot of talks
Godot?
about Godot.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
in discussion on like my second or third to last year.
A lot of people that
So-
used to use Unity left Unity and started using Godot. So.
Yeah. I actually have Godot installed.
the
I
problem
do
is-
So
wanna-
do I, but I've never done anything with it.
The
I
problem is
actually
the
took
school has
some
to pay
classes
for
on
it.
Yeah.
So
I can
Well,
get. I
Godot's
can be part of the
free.
group. I could go buy
no, Godot's
RPG
free?
Maker.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Godot's
Godot's completely free open source software.
Yep.
What the shit is going on here? Okay.
I've never
this-
done any of that, so I don't.
Oh my god, it's like a roller
very
coaster.
well.
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, we're stuck.
Scariest
Now we
roller
can't see
coaster
again.
Ever.
I don't want to be
Was there
here no
something
more.
on the ceiling or what? What's happening here?
no, I think we hit something.
Yeah, we hit
No,
the
I
edge of
think
the
we're just
bridge.
Stuck.
Oh.
Yeah, we hit the bridge.
Uh-oh.
Oh. Oh.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
stuff down here.
It's
Scrap
going
metal.
down, Captain. I can't even grab the winch now.
I'm gonna have to light a cigarette to see where I'm
We
going.
just grabbed the winch behind it. Oh shit. I fell. What is going on?
Oh,
What is that
this is gonna
noise?
break.
I fell too, but there was
Is
stuff
there
down
a
here.
Flashlight or something?
I don't know what this is.
What the
I
fuck?
just hear crunches around. I can't see.
It's-
Oh,
I don't know what
you
you're doing,
push
it's
this.
just bouncing.
Oh shit! I think I crushed
It's just like
Oh
restart.
my
I
gosh.
think I don't know if we're supposed to build something or have speed there. I couldn't tell. It was so fucking hard.
We could have probably had
All I hear
speed
is
to find.
crunching.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, it's so
Alright,
dark.
well, we
Oh,
here.
hit the V.
Oh, hit the V.
There we go.
Is
Everybody
everyone
in.
is everyone good to
Better?
keep going?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
Since we're at a checkpoint thing.
Let's get in. We're gonna gun it because I know to gun it now.
Oh.
Oh, bye.
Scrap.
See you later.
I'm gonna gun it while we're just going fast. Okay. Wow. Oh shh.
Oh, you should
So-
let go.
I didn't let go. That's the problem.
Never let go, Jack.
Gee,
What if I-
you're still broadcasting on in game.
Oh,
Hit that
Thank
V.
you.
my bad.
It's all good.
Oh, I have a pen on me. Dirt. Okay. I was like, we need a pen. We need a pen. It's like when you're looking for your phone.
And it's in your
but,
hand.
It's in your hand. Yeah, definitely one of those.
Back with a Dr. Pepper and some sweet chili Doritos. I want some of that. That sounds good.
Ooh, that sounds good.
I want a soda.
Gee,
Hey, I
remote.
can see the pin this time.
Huh?
Remote.
All right,
Oh, okay.
Winch it.
we're anchored.
Looking for your
Pull.
glasses when you're on your face. Yeah.
Pull.
Chili Doritos. That sounds good.
Oh,
I love sweet chili
my mom
Doritos.
is really bad about that.
All right.
She'll put her glasses up on top of her head, and then she'll lose them and get panicked. And I just go.
I want
"Hey,
you to know
it's on top
everybody
of
with
your head."
glasses does that like once
Yes.
a year.
At
I
least.
have the bad thing of like I taking off my glasses and for some reason thinking I'm still wearing them. Like there's that ghost, so I like try to
the
take them
fuck?
Oh, I do that. No, Giga, I do that all the time because
Oh yeah.
when
That's-
I'm at work
Are we
doing
still
nails, I can't see up close with my glasses on.
Are we?
Are we?
Are we?
So if I take them off and I'm still
Oh,
having a
come
hard
on.
time, if I'm still
Hang on 1 second.
still having a hard
Yeah.
time seeing, I'll
Oh,
try to
yeah.
take off my glasses,
beer.
but they're not on my face. So I like reach for my face and poke myself in the eye.
Yeah, it's really bad. Like, cause what I'll do is like I'll take them off and just look
There
at
you
my
go.
phone in the evening before going to bed.
Well,
like,
I'm gonna get the
"You need to
flat
take my glasses
ground.
off so I can go to bed, and they're not, and I'm not wearing them at all.
Right?
Alright.
Yep. Yep.
I actually, it's the opposite with me. I used to wear glasses and then forget that I'm wearing them as I sleep.
I
That's-
don't think I've ever done that because
I did at
if
the
you're a
start.
bad sleeper, I see how that works. I'm not a bad sleeper. I'm being
not.
smacked in the head.
Right.
There's those pins in the ground back
I'm
there.
trying to fix the side panel. Okay.
How much I dunk on you, you still have a concussion for some reason.
We just ran over a bunch of scrap.
Giga drop dead.
Oh, okay. Well, I almost got there. No problems.
Baloney.
Phantom glasses, yeah. It's so much a thing.
Great.
It does happen.
Alright, be fast.
What if I'm slow?
EpiPen.
I think you get left behind.
I've
there.
definitely fallen asleep with my glasses on before because I watch TV to go to bed a lot.
More
I watch
Mm.
YouTube, but I have it in my right in front of my face on my bed, so
Oh yeah, if I was doing that, I wouldn't need my glasses on.
Yeah. Oh, back to what I was saying. I'm a stomach sleeper.
I'll go.
Ah.
So thus I can't sleep with glasses on really at all.
Sure.
What do you mean by stomach sleeper? You mean you sleep on your side, or you literally lay face down into your bed?
I lay face down.
I love that. I don't know a single person that does that, and I believe that
Yeah,
means you have problems.
No, I think he means he probably has his head sideways and his body face down.
Yes.
Guys, come on.
Oh, okay.
You can do this thing called turn your neck. I don't know if you guys know about that.
No, Giga's secretly a zombie.
I have a gel pillow as well, so that means I absolutely can't breathe if I sleep like that.
Oh no, you'll die. You'll suffocate. I have a purple
It's one of
pillow.
those that no one wants to do a pillow fight with me for some reason.
No, I
It's a
can't
lot of
imagine.
Alright, it's on.
concussion. It's one of those that'll snap somebody's neck if you actually hit them with the pillow.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good. Let me just winch you.
What do you winch?
Hit it.
What? I don't even know what you're winching with. Ooh.
He's just
Ooh.
making sure the back of it doesn't fall too fast by
Oh,
throwing the winch on it.
I nailed it.
There's your
Did you
box.
drive forward before?
Yes.
Yes.
Too many questions.
No asking.
Did it re-winch? Don't go any further.
I'm not.
Don't go any
I'm
further.
not.
It's still
I was just
sucking
getting up here.
Wambat back in the
Right.
day, I think, used to accidentally fall asleep with glasses on.
I do
Yeah.
I do that
Well, I
sometimes.
mean, I still do.
I don't.
I'll sit there at night. If I don't feel like going to my bed, I'll fall asleep on my couch, and I'll just leave my glasses on.
What is the best snack and drink combo? I'll DoorDash it right now, and it's my Dr. Pepper, with lime, cucumber, Gatorade, and the hot cucumber
What?
Gatorade. What?
Oh, I've tried that before. It wasn't good. It was gross.
I mean, I like cucumbers, but
It's
I
on
don't
the
know
whole
if it's
like
their
I
flavor's
don't know.
okay.
yeah,
But
it's a take on the
Trevor
whole
might
like
wanna drink
cucumber
cucumber
water. Yeah, cucumber water's like a thing. So Gatorade's like, let's make it a Gatorade. And it's actually nasty. It tastes like a yucky, salty
I mean,
cucumber. I don't know how to explain it.
I'm like, if you're giving me a snack, I'm going to go with a Dr. Pepper and a Twix candy bar.
Okay.
If we're doing
Wow.
chips
This.
with it, we're doing salt and vinegar chips.
Ew.
That's the holy trinity: Dr. Pepper, Twix candy bar, and salt and vinegar chips.
yeah, it's missing. There's pylons where it's like not moving.
So we are
Correct.
missing things, right?
It's those things on the ground. We gotta push on them.
Oh, I'm going down. Legs.
Yeah, those things.
Oh, what the hell? What do we do? Oh.
Oh, they go up.
Yeah, you
we
gotta
have
stand on this pressure plate.
Oh, somebody else. All right, somebody come down here and stand with Wham. Oh wait, we gotta
I'm
get
coming.
ones behind us
I'm
first.
going.
There's ones
Ow.
Behind us, yeah.
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 so dark.
Where do we stand? Is it here? Oh,
Is
this
there
is
any
a...
flares down
oh
here
you
we
can put
use?
crates on it.
That's what
the
the
crates
boxes are for.
Maybe
Oh.
flares, because that very first one is so dark.
I got a box.
So we can do people, but we can also do crates. Okay.
I can't see around my box.
Yes.
My box is too big to see
Okay, I got-
around.
Pressure plates. Where's the pressure plates that are supposed to be for the first two?
That's what I'm saying.
One of them
Ish.
is right here.
Okay, if you could see them, can you do them? I'm just gonna get back to. I can't see shit down here.
Yeah. Hey, hang on.
Perfect. That's
I got the second thing. Oh my god. Fucking.
Oh, you got these ones already? Wait, where's the other ones at? I can't see anything carrying this box. It's like right in my face.
Yeah, the box is kind of hard, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
fuck
see a
this.
pressure
I got
plate
that
on this
one that's right next
you
to the
already have a box
RV.
on it. Got it.
And the other pressure plate is down here, which you've got already on the boxes on it.
Yeah, that's for those
Yeah, I
two.
got the-
Got it.
I got it for the
Salt
second
and
set.
vinegar, great. Okay, order anything else. I got 20 bucks.
Oh,
a
except
set.
now it's like stuck between the thing and the thing. It's stuck between the lifty up bit
let's
and
see
the
now.
bridge. You need to back up if you can.
I can't lie, but fucking shit.
The thing
You are
is,
stuck.
Is the all dressed?
I am now even more stuck than I
Lay's
was.
Chips. Does
Yeah,
that-
what
I
is
am
what is all
super
dressed?
I think isn't that the Canadian one? Yes.
How am I so stuck that I can't
Or
see
am
how
I
to
thinking
get
of
out?
another one? Those are the primarily Canadian ones. Like there are nothing more than barbecue chips.
All right, I'm gonna back you up with the winch.
What are you winching me
Oh
to?
no, I don't know
Can-
how, but
oh,
I'm
can you winch
glitched
me to the
into
wood?
bottom.
Apparently, I can.
Yeah, we'll have
Oh
to.
fuck.
We'll
Yeah.
have to back it up
All right,
for
go.
sure.
Oops, I gotta
Yeah, I think our
Oh,
front
my way.
tires are glitched
toggle.
I'm stuck in the rocks, guys, and I'm not dead.
Oh
I
hell
am
yeah.
super stuck.
Going. Fucking
through.
going.
Are you still on the bottom? Or are you on the sides? Like, where are you?
I'm on the bottom, so bottom and then far right. There was
Good?
an edge, and you felt kind of
Yep,
went
yep,
down
yep.
it, and now I can't get back up.
Oh, I didn't mean to turn it on.
And
How do
it's
we-
super dark. Here, let me see if I can actually just
I don't.
turn up brightness.
Yeah, there's gotta be a brightness. This shit is so dark. Is it
Lumens
is it-
on. Resolution.
Yeah.
brightness.
Yeah, there was a lumens thing in the.
Options, graphics.
Yeah, I saw the
Graphics.
lumens.
Lumens not doing shit.
Advance. Here we go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there
I
an
think it's just-
advance?
I think Lumen is
Enhance.
just the light engine, and it's just that.
Oh no, yeah. There's actually nothing for.
Oh, well, that's fine. Enjoy them for me. My stomach is done right now. I can't run the risk of getting some myself. That's fair. Like I said, the old dress just tastes like a barbecue chip. Did we get the truck backed up?
You got it
Yes.
backed up, yeah.
Got it. We'll see if
I
we
w-
can get it through. I don't know.
Do we have a plank of wood?
Yeah, it's like up too
'Cause
high.
I think so.
It's like up too high.
Okay, I guess I'll sit in the dark here smoking.
Oh.
Because that's all I can do at this point.
What's too high? The boards are too high.
The platform that we pushed up is higher than the rest of the bridge.
However that happened.
Whenever the thing where you gotta time it just right.
Hold on, I'm trying to find. Back up, back up, back up. Hey, where's the? Oh, it's for both of them. Got it.
Don't worry, guys. I got my
Yeah.
ball.
This sucks.
Yeah, crap.
Yeah, we're gonna try to find Wambat
That
here in a
unstuck
second.
button?
Wambat, where are you?
I don't think there is an unstuck button.
On the bottom. And all the way to the right.
Bottom to the
I
right.
hear you. I just don't see you.
Slots 5. I don't think we have slots. We only have like the D20. I think we have the 8 ball as well. Function.
Wambat.
On-
Wambat. Yeah, damn. I don't know where the hell you are.
I don't know if I could throw a cigarette out far high enough to see you can see it. He's no.
Oh man,
I am
there's another one here. Do you see where the pressure plate is for this one? Oh, I think it's right here.
Right here.
Does
Ow.
that one go?
I broke my
they all
leg.
look like
Be
they.
fairly decent.
Actually, yeah, that one's not half bad. I think it's just
Yeah,
that first one.
I am super glitched into the wall.
Wait,
I think
I
that's the
guess.
issue.
I think we just need to time it.
I guess we
Yeah,
can.
maybe.
Yeah. Well, I'll just.
Oh, there you
I'll
are.
Just.
Oh, wait,
Someone
what?
right there. Just walk past.
Oh, are you in a hole? Or are you?
I am in a hole.
Down in
Oh,
a
shit.
hole.
I think I'm in the same hole.
Oh no, we're
Right.
screwed.
Oh
I can't see the
shit!
way to get out.
Wait, where's Giga?
I'm.
Wait,
trying to figure out where
wait,
they're
oh,
at.
hold on. I have an idea. Wait a minute. Where are you?
I have no
Can
clue
you just
where you
throw
are.
each other out?
Yeah. Alright, I think this is the out. I can't see because you're in the way.
Where the
there
heck
we go.
are you
I just got
guys?
Yeah,
thrown out.
now come back to the hole.
I'm gonna pick him
Down
up and get
in
him
a
out.
hole. Oh,
I'm
I
trying to
see
see
you.
where you are.
I see somebody.
I'm right
Ah!
below you. I'm like right below you.
Yeah, I'm just trying
Okay,
to look for
Snap's about
the
12 minutes away.
Alright.
crap.
Oh,
There's no.
I saw
no
you
marker.
I could pick you up. No, just keep looking at me because I can pick you up. Maybe you can get a little
you-
closer.
I don't know where they're at.
I'm to your right a little. I
I
think.
don't know where they are either. I'm so confused.
Oh, you fell back in, didn't you? You want?
Oh, did I
Here,
go back in?
Yeah, throw me out. Look.
A beast for survival. Yes, I wish I could see it happening in real time.
But it's so dark.
Okay.
It's
All right. Do you see me?
It's fine.
Almost. I saw you dart for a
Wait,
second.
Giga has the best lighting. Wait, I can get Giga.
What?
Grab a
Where are you?
flare. Someone find a flare.
Is there a flare on the truck?
Oh, Giga. You see me, right?
Oh, yeah, I see you.
Up here.
Okay, let me figure out how to get up there.
Where the hell are
Wambat-
you guys?
Wambat is here to the left, like right behind me. He's down
Okay.
down in a hole in here. I think I know where a
In the
flare is.
crevasse.
I think we have a flare in the truck. Hi, Chi.
Hi. What are you guys doing?
All right. We're on mission
Trying
to
to
save
find where
Wambat.
Dun 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 dun.
I know where
dun.
Wambat is. I just gotta grab a flare. 'cause this
Wambat's just stuck.
Don't fall in the hole.
How y'all Thanksgiving? My Thanksgiving was nice, chill, and peaceful. I didn't do anything.
Here he
there we go.
is.
Here we go.
Oh.
Yeah. Jump up. That was probably a dumb idea.
There we go.
Oh, Giga
All right,
got
no one
it.
fall in that
Yay.
fucking hole.
Fuck that
It's
hole.
marked now. All right,
Okay,
so this
so I
platform, I
think
think,
if
we
y'all-
have to time it just right.
Yeah, that first one is
Probably.
rough.
Yeah, the first
man,
one, we're gonna have to
I'm
time
gonna
jumping
just-
on it.
Yeah, it's
The other
at
one's
an
different.
angle. So I am going to just stand here and see if like I can lift it up whenever y'all get here.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, I think we are ready to move it around.
All right,
I don't
let's
have
go.
nugs.
For Thanksgiving.
Oh, there's a winch
Very
control
chill.
down here.
Shit, we don't have nugs, do we?
Yeah,
Whatever,
I probably,
I'll just die.
that's probably the one I threw earlier.
All right.
All right, push it. Gun it! Oh, no, yeah, stay on it. Oh,
stay-
you didn't
oh,
go.
oh,
You didn't
whoa.
go, Red. You were just sitting
Okay.
there.
All right. Well, I couldn't see it. I was. All right. Let me back up. All right. Just tell me when. I believe in you.
I'm trying to hold it where it needs to be, so hopefully whenever you gun it, we'll be right.
Okay, at the
tell me-
count of
tell me when
three,
to
you
go.
both go, okay? 1, 2, 3. Nice!
Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay.
Yep.
Nope, I think they're through.
Oh shit. Okay, hold
Oh
on.
no, we're
This is-
stuck on the right side of the next one. The right one.
Do I
Oh no,
Okay,
no,
we're
we made it,
good.
we made it, we
I
made
got
it,
it,
we made
I
it,
got
we
it.
made
We got
it,
it.
we're
We
good.
got it. We're good.
Whoa! Shit! Whoa,
There's
whoa,
one more
a-
at the end!
Yep.
There's a
I'm
hole
staying
in-
on it.
There's like 3.
There you
Oh,
go.
I can do with one. I can do with the small one. It's fine.
yep.
I'm a gamer.
Let's go!
Ah,
Yay! We did it! Good job, everybody!
The hardest part, and half because Wham had
Careful.
found a hole.
Down
Sorry.
in a hole.
No, I mean, I got stuck in it too. I got stuck in the
hardest
same
part.
hole.
Okay,
Feeling
there's
so
2
strong.
logs there.
I
boy,
Can we
so
just
it
go
takes-
across?
There we got it.
Oh,
That didn't work.
oh no.
Now we gotta do the hole again.
Are you serious?
Shit.
Red! This is your fault!
All right, everyone in. There's no breaks until Brooklyn.
Hit V.
Or whatever that fucking goes. I don't remember.
Push the V button, Red!
That's right.
All right.
You literally sounded like you're in a cave. That was funny.
I'm in a cave.
Nice.
Oh, look at all these flares. Better grab them. There's so many.
Okay. Landed.
There.
Oh, broke my leg.
Ow! Ow!
We don't have a
All
lot
right, I'm
of
trying
those
to put
turned
the
on, Loki.
roof back on so we can have some light.
There you go. All right.
Okay. What do we got here? I've already went to the next.
Y'all are at Mount Doom. It's true. You shall not
Mount Doom,
pass.
That's not Mount Doom, but okay.
That was what I thought of.
That's mine some more.
Ah,
Okay, same movie
Right,
franchise.
right,
It's
movie
fine.
series.
Same franchise. We good.
ah.
But that's not.
Nice,
Okay.
not not bad.
Alright, are you on Giga?
Yep, I'm hopping in.
But this feels more like Moria than Doom.
Yeah. You shall not pass. Well, that's not cool.
Hey, look, all the planks that you're supposed to use to get over that lava.
Hi, Coffee.
Red in the RV.
Coffee!
All of a sudden, he's like, "Oh, you shall not pass," and Red goes, "Want to see me try?" He just
Watch
guns
this
it.
shit.
Okay, there we
I
go.
just
Good.
clipped through. I'm clipping through and out. Damn it! Into the lava.
There's scrap.
Oh, did you not sit down?
No.
Honestly, that's on him.
Okay. I'm all good. I got out.
Okay, gonna grab the scrap. Oh, hold on, throw that. Grab
I
the
just gotta catch
scrap.
up. Yeah.
Got it.
Got that.
There we go. Got burgers.
There's a pin.
Burgers. Hi, G. Hi, Red. Hello, Coffee. I hope you're doing well this evening.
Hey,
Good.
Coffee. What?
What?
Alright, hold on, let me
Was-
drink
was
some
that
more. I'm
words?
not,
No, you went all robot.
Alright, let me just. Oh. I love how they
Sounded
go
like his
flask.
brain went robot.
Oh,
Was there a
my.
flare? Flares? Did we have flares? Did we pick up flares?
There's
we
a couple.
We might
There's
have
a
left the flares
couple.
behind.
No, there's a couple of them on the truck.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Where at?
In there.
Somewhere.
Where's?
Everyone.
I'm not seeing any flares.
One
here.
sec, I'll show
Been a
you.
while.
Look.
Hello.
The one.
Laurel.
The
I'm
one
trying to.
right
I
here
can't get in
above
the truck.
airspace.
I can't get in the truck.
Jump. Press. Whee.
Get a running start.
There we
Get
go.
a running start.
There's
Where was the
one. There's a
flares at?
flare right here on the top shelf. That's a flare. And there's one in this cabinet.
Oh, nice.
And then there's one there. Yeah.
Nice.
And there's
Damn.
two. You
Alright.
got
Stop
two.
repairing the vehicle. I'm about
I
to fuck it
don't-
up anyway.
I need a flare, not you.
Well,
Okay.
we want the ceiling fixed so we can see.
Yep.
Okay.
I left one scrap.
Okay, this is just the lift. This one here was pretty straightforward as long as Red doesn't drive off the front of it.
No, we're about to lose the beer.
Not the beer. Ooh, beer.
Hold on, let me throw this flare back in here because we don't need it until after we get through this part.
Crush.
Yeah.
Litter.
There's so
Okay.
much stuff in here. There
Oh.
we go. Throw the flare there.
Daddy?
What?
Why is there a daddy
Oh,
emote?
Daddy.
Why is there a
Okay,
daddy
I
emote?
Don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's a blushy Pepe
Alright, you
with a
go down.
daddy sign. Oh, oh, oh.
Don't drive
Oh.
off the front.
We're good,
Don't
we're
drive
good.
off the front.
Ah,
Good
that's very-
job.
You'd be surprised.
Good
Oh,
job.
well.
All right. You can start doing rates. I gotta drive like an idiot.
And
for
they
a
just
second.
run into the wall.
Well,
I didn't break anything. I didn't break anything.
he had to because he's got to make the
I
turn.
pushed through the floor. Why? Ouch! I have
Oh,
broke
come on.
my leg. You're still connected to the winch. I'll reset that.
Oh, is that why? That why I'm not moving?
I
Oh,
can't
okay.
reset
Now
it.
hit the
currently.
reset.
There we go.
Uh oh. Damn, am I fucking stuck, guys?
Possibly. Who drank a beer?
Yeah, can you drink a beer and release me?
I will try.
Little beer. We're learning to drive. I proved to be an excellent driver right up until about this part.
There we go.
It's
Red
true.
I've been a little-
this much further.
I've been a
than
little
I've seen most
silly.
people.
Yeah, Red's actually been
Yes,
saving our
and
ass this whole time
similar.
with his driving.
I've done some crazy shit. I don't know how.
Ouch. So that's the one that you'll have to kind of feather, Wambat. We'll
Okay.
want to put. Well, yeah, I will work on feathering this one to get Red across. I think all the others can just be up. I think this is the
I-
only one we got
so.
kind of feathered.
There's these three here. I'm gonna put on the one on the end because
Yeah,
that's straightforward.
Red has done us very well. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's been pretty
How is it-
impressive. Coffee, you missed it.
I was driving on the side of a mountain at some point.
True.
That's
It's totally
Good
sideways.
Lord.
totally sideways. 180, stick into the side of the mountain, like. was impressive.
I'm very impressed, to say the least.
The option was go over a bunch of really challenging terrain that could have gotten stuck and use the winch and it would have been annoying and slow, or I drive on the side of a mountain at 90 degrees. I chose the side of a mountain and it went probably way faster.
Way faster. You mean I have to drive over all this stuff? Why can't I just drive
I literally just turned around and said, "Watch this shit." And then it was farther than I expected. I was like, "It's fine."
You guys doing the things?
Problem is, I can't see the last one.
I got the last one. There's this set of like 3 in the middle.
That oh yeah, really you just need that little tiny one.
Yeah, I only need the tiny one up on the set of 3.
Do we want to move the?
I'm ready to go.
Go for it.
Who's on the first platform?
I'm on it.
Okay.
Right,
1,
tell me when...
2, 3.
I hate this.
That was such a delay. That was such a delay. Why did you wait so long?
God.
Why did you wait?
1, 2, space 3.
Because I was trying to time it with Giga's pushing.
Son of a bitch.
It's alright.
I'm not sure all of these are activated. Okay, that one is activated properly. Does it need to go down? Up or is it good? It's good.
Shit.
What's this last one look like? Is it all good?
Oh, he's got it. He's got it. We're good.
We're good. We're good. I don't want to hit you, Wambat.
Yeah, I don't want to fall in the hole again.
Okay, yeah, all right. That's the one I need, like the one on the one up.
Right.
On the little tiny one on your right, Wambat.
Not that one. The other one.
No, that was the right one. That was the right one.
That was the right one.
Okay, well then I will sit down.
That is it. Yeah.
Okay, we have 6 scrap, and see if we can't patch the bus together before we hit a wall and detonate it again.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Fair enough. I will wait
this
patiently.
This time you won't gun it across. You'll actually go left.
I will follow the rules of the road.
Left and then right.
Now we can see.
Did we have that spare pen? Because I feel we're gonna need it.
The tire won't stop moving.
Wambat saved the day. We got it. Although I did press the button. Oh, I'm so.
I drove the car.
I'm gonna need a burger after this.
Oh, we'll have a burger dinner.
I can stop myself from launching over the top of the bus.
I've also done the super dangerous cool parkour. That was awesome. And I started a forest fire.
You know, all in a day's worth of work.
So once you come across here.
Wait, stop! Don't move! What are you doing?
Hard to the left.
Ramp? Winch bolt, here it is.
There it is. Fixed it.
Okay.
I did it!
Go this way.
I can't get back on!
Left, and then take a right. There's these things. And we will see if... Oh, look, more flares.
There you go.
Oh, shit.
Oh! I almost fell down there.
Do we need to winch you?
A little bit.
I have to go through here.
I'm gonna place that down. Let's grab a winch. Someone get the controls so that we can get Red across without blowing up stuff. Okay,
I feel like
winched.
I think I'm the only one that can grab the controls.
Throw the remote at me.
Yeah.
Crap! I hear a danger noodle.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, I made it across.
Okay.
Good job.
Is it good? Are the
I
back
don't
wheels
know.
on yet?
Just hang on. I'm gonna open up the bridge.
Yes, the back wheels are on.
Well, hold on. Don't open up the bridge. I want to see what that direction is. Shit, I'm coming. I want to explore first.
All right, well, light a cigarette up, or use a flare so you can see.
What is that?
Oh, that's a bear. I have found a bear.
That's a
There's
snake.
a bear in there?
I don't.
I have found a bear.
There's a snake.
Ah, bear! Ah!
Oh shit! There is a bear.
Ah!
Why the hell is there a bear? I am now captured with a bear after my butt.
I'm trying to get to the bear spray.
Oh, the thing closed.
Yeah, because I have to hold the damn thing open.
Hold it open on there. You
Hey.
two look like idiots.
Okay, I'm also here, so just keep running, I guess.
Ow!
right.
He bit me.
Bear
Hold
spray!
on. The engine wasn't on.
I got bear spray!
Yeah,
Well, bear
get in
makes
here
it.
Get
with
him,
the bear
Chi.
spray.
Get him,
save
Chi.
Wambat.
Oh God! He was trying to juke me.
All right, everyone in the
It was
car.
just a
Everyone in the
joke.
car.
I sprayed him in the ass! Run!
Go, go,
Gotta
go!
do- And sit down. And sit down.
We're down, we're down. Go, go, go!
You was sleeping, you woke him up, bear spray and pray. Yes, yes.
We go right.
Yay! Checkpoint!
Hey, checkpoint.
Checkpoint.
Damn, this is gonna suck to get out of. Actually. There we go. You know, can we just
made
like?
it to a
Yes, you can.
Nice. I didn't turn the engine off or park it.
It's so dark in here.
Shit.
Can't get down there.
Down there.
All right, hold on. I'm reversing the whole fucking thing. Everybody stand out of the way.
I don't think in reverse, you just had to come forward more.
Well, I
was
can't
gonna-
see. There we go. Now we can see. New hat, normal stuff,
Tape.
a welder. Any junk out here? Any? Although we have burgers, so
Burger.
Right,
Is there any
We're gonna
oil?
have a-
I saw a tape.
there's a pile of flares over here as well.
Okay. Oh, here's some oil. I got it.
Question: how much longer do we want to go?
Better question. What is this next shit? What the hell?
What time is it?
It is
Oh,
10 Central.
I'm probably gonna go soon.
Yep.
Okay.
It's getting
since we're
kind
at
of
a
late for my
checkpoint,
old lady ass.
Or we
that is-
book it to the next checkpoint.
I don't think there is any booking to the next check. I mean, go ahead, press the gas.
Yeah, I'm
See how
trying.
far you get.
Everyone get on and sit down.
Oh no, we're
What's
just
It's gonna
going.
be quick and fun.
We're just
We're just gonna go for it, Thelma and Louise style.
Wait.
going.
You know how this is gonna work.
Oh god,
There's a
snake!
hole here.
Boom!
That probably requires.
I hear
That
snakes,
answers
but I don't
that.
see
I'm
snakes.
making a run for it. Ah,
Ah!
The vehicle has to make the checkpoint,
Ah,
not us.
snake!
no, it's fine. Just keep running.
You're
You'll.
by a snake.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god!
god! What
I
the
can't-
fuck? Ah!
I can't see. I
Oh,
can't
crap.
see
I jumped off
anything.
the edge.
Does anybody have a flare?
I think I'm stuck infinitely falling.
That's
or
why
I'm-
you blew up.
You are, because
Yeah,
your
because of
name
the
is
flare.
just right here.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm dead. Red's dead. Red
Was
Dead
there-
Redemption.
Was there a
Yeah.
landmine or something? What the
Yes.
No.
Assuming
there-
that
so
one.
there's gas right there that's coming
Oh,
out
is
of
the
the
gas
out of the thing.
explode? Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I fell in a hole. Well,
Oh, next.
I'm not dead
I
though.
think that
I don't think
Hang
I'm
on.
dead, but I can't move.
I
so.
fell and died Chi down there, so. Yep.
Oh god, I heard a snake. I keep
No,
hearing
keep
them.
running.
That explains
cigarettes.
how the end of that
I
run
figured that
went.
we exploded, but not, I
We
guess not.
honestly got a lot further than I was expecting us to get.
How much is left? Are we like halfway through?
Oh, we're there's a lot left.
Oh,
Really?
fuck off.
So-
Oh
There's a lot
jeez.
left.
That's crazy, yo. This game is really
haven't got-
long.
So after this part, we're about to get to the part that I feel is the hardest part.
Nice.
Because we're gonna have to go completely vertical.
Ugh.
Oh,
Well, pretty much.
that's my
completely vertical.
specialty. Hello.
So, the next question I pose, since we're gonna wrap it up, can you continue from a checkpoint as long as checkpoint's been done? Like you don't have to
Yeah,
do the whole game.
yeah.
in one
As
run?
long as we start from yours, it'll start back up from the last
Yeah.
checkpoint.
So the
Oh,
next
nice.
question I'm going to pose is,
When?
what? Yeah, when are we finishing this? Is this going to be, hey, we're going to skip a Friday and come back to it? We're going to try for next Friday. What's everyone feeling?
I want to. Wait, hold on. What is skipping? Which days?
I know next Friday I have a commitment.
Yeah, we're
with
getting
my
near
family.
holidays. It's a
Yeah.
little-
You might have to.
But the Friday after that, well, Friday.
The Friday after
is
that is the
Christmas.
day after Christmas. Yeah.
I'm pretty damn free. So
Actually,
might
I
not be able to
probably am
stream,
too.
but I'll be free.
Calendar.
I'm free tomorrow.
I can't
I really
tomorrow.
want to. I really want to keep playing this game.
Yeah, I'm having fun. I definitely do want to get together and play more or finish the game.
Oh yes, certainly.
Sunday. I'm just gonna keep going by day by day. I swear to God.
Day by day.
I am legitimate. Like I could do that work, so it'd have to be probably not a night thing if we aim for Sunday. But like I said, we can do another Friday in the future, 19th, 26th, 2nd. All those are holidays. I mean, we might have to push it clear into January if everyone's tied up. I'm not tied up.
I'm not.
pretty-
I'm pretty free. As long as it's not
me
on
being
the
able
holiday.
me being able to stream is in question, but I should be free.
On
Okay.
what, the 26th?
I like all of them.
Yeah, 26. I'm still fine. I have a lunch. We do our Christmas Day lunch instead of Christmas Eve. But after that, I'll be good.
So
26
we
then?
thinking
Tentative?
maybe the, yeah,
Mhm.
26 at roughly the same time, and then
Yeah.
7, give or take.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm a good 26.
Yeah, it sounds
Yep.
good.
In that case, we'll go ahead. I'll go pencil that in on my side. At 26 at 7 p.m. We'll resume with part 2 of all. No, I'm dead. Cheese. All this nonsense. No, I can look around as a dead man. But thank you all for joining this wonderful evening. We will have to get the gang back together in 2 weeks to see how Red's driving has improved or not improved from that point.
I can improve? Damn, I thought I was flawless. Strokes ego.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, dear
Perfect.
Lord.
Catch y'all later.
Who are we?
All right,
Who, oh,
have a
he's
good
gone.
night.
Bye.
I was gonna
Yeah,
ask who
he's
we're
gone.
rating. I was gonna ask who we're rating when y'all raid the same person. That's okay though.
Yeah, let's see.
I think I have a contractual obligation to raid people. I don't. I raid duck.
I know you do.
I love the fucking ducks.
Well,
All right. Thanks for games,
with
guys.
mine, I don't have. Yeah. With mine, I don't have enough for really to raid anywhere.
How many people do I have right now? I don't want to rate. I don't like raiding with small people. Ew. It makes me feel icky when I raid with small. Oh.
Let's see here. Let me go back to talking real quick.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm leaving the group chat thing, so I'm not.
Yep, me too.
Juggling.
Bye.
Yep. All right. See you guys later. I'm gonna put some music on too.
Raid. Where the fuck my ducks at?
Goodbye. Oh, that was so fun. I think I'm gonna read the ducks too. Raiding the Dashy Ducks. All right. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Hope you had fun. That was a lot of fun. Hopefully we can finish it next time. And I'll catch you guys later. Thank you so much. Goodbye. See you next time. The fuck out. Goodbye.